Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Wearing Books. God-level understanding, perfect start with magical skills. Chapter 61. For a time, the entire Tianyan mountain range was in chaos. The rays of spiritual light are about to make the Tianyan mountain range turn into a river of blood. However, facing the attacks from everyone, Lindsay looked calm and even a little impatient. I told you to hurry up. You idiots, like you shouldn't come out and embarrass yourself. He casually struck a blow. Boom. With Lindsay's punch, the Supreme Will soared into the sky, covering the entire Tianyan mountain range. The power of the fist comes down from the sky and sweeps through thousands of armies. Boom. This blow was like a star falling from the sky, smashing into the calm lake and rolling up thousands of piles of snow. Buzzing. Landslides and landslides. The earth trembles. A wave of air visible to the naked eye spread out in all directions with Lindsay as the center. The air waves carried countless rocks, shattering the mountains and forests thousands of miles away with an earth-shattering force. Wherever it passed, all the mountains and peaks were annihilated in the wave of fist energy. Boom. One blow. Thousands of miles of smoke. Thousands of miles of waves. Wait until the smoke and clouds subside and the sound of the waves stops. Looking around, there are no mountain shadows, no woods, no majestic peaks, no rolling hills on both sides of the bank. At first glance, it's clear and empty. Tianyan mountain range has disappeared without a trace. Instead, there was a messy plain of gravel. Except for the towering shadow of the ancient Daoji mountain, which stood motionless. The entire Tianyan mountain range with a radius of thousands of miles collapsed under Lindsay's casual punch. And those monks from various sects who came up to show their magical powers have long been buried under the gravel plain with that mountain and forest forever, or their bones are gone. With one blow, the sky collapsed. And this time, above the sky, an illusory bloody dragon entrenched itself on the illusory sea, letting out a rolling dragon roar and traveling around the world. The tyrannical pressure was unabashedly released from Lindsay. The streaks of energy and blood smoke made him look like a god or a demon. This is half a step into the divine sea. Continue. Cleaned up all trash fish. The immortal fate token in Lindsay's hand floated gently, still attracting everyone's attention. Quote. There was silence. Everyone looked at Lindsay with straight eyes. He is actually a half-step master of the divine sea. There are only 4 half-step divine seas in the entire Wagwang realm. Those 4 are all the heads of the major sects, and they all recognize them by their famous names. But where did this unfamiliar half-step divine sea powerhouse come from? On a small gravel hill, Dun Yiren and Luo Wuchen looked at Lindsay and then at the hidden sword. Is this the 3rd stage of the true body you are talking about? Quote. Zhang Jian's eyelids trembled, he broke through again. Quote. Dry, high in the sky. The 2 giants, Old Man Tianji and the bloodstained sword master, had solemn expressions on their faces. A layman looks at the excitement, an expert looks at the door. Others may have just seen that Lindsay's attack ignored the combined attacks of many casual cultivators and destroyed thousands of miles around the Tianyan mountain range in one fell swoop. However, they, who were both at the half-step divine sea realm, sensed Lindsay's unfathomable accomplishments from Lindsay's punch. The power of this fist is as vast as the roaring waves of the vast sea, breaking into the extreme realm. The level and attainments of his skills are definitely not low. What a powerful half-step Shanhai. When did such a number 1 figure appear in our Wagwang realm? The bloodstained sword master and Old Man Tianji looked at each other. As the 5 giants in the Wagwang realm, they know all the characters in the Wagwang realm very well. As long as there is hope of advancing to the half-step divine Siqi and blood dragon realm, they know it well. However, they searched all the suspected characters in their minds and couldn't find anyone even remotely similar. The 2 of them looked at the always mysterious Miaoyu again. Miaoyu, however, had a calm expression, with a mysterious smile on his face. She didn't seem surprised by Lindsay's outburst. Could it be that she knows this person? The 2 of them thought so. At this time, Lindsay's slightly disappointed voice sounded again. Is there no one here? The people in the sect below lowered their heads and did not dare to look at Lindsay. If the holder of the immortal fate token is a small person, they can just resort to tricks and try their luck. But grabbing something from Bamboo Shanhai's hands, I think my life is long enough. Quote. Everyone was silent. Lin Zi's eyes were pointed at the three striking people high in the sky. What about you? I don't have time to spend with you. Furious, the blood-stained sword master's eyes narrowed slightly. He has a reputation as a crazy person in the outside world, but he never spoils anyone. Zheng. He picked up the peerless sword beside him, and several chains on the sword immediately broke. Whoosh. He turned into a streak of blood smoke and appeared in front of Lin Zi, bursting out with peerless ferocity. You're crazy. I just don't know if your kung fu is as crazy as your mouth. After that, the blood-stained sword master smashed all the chains on the sword with one palm. Zheng, following a dark and evil sword cry. In an instant, a sea of blood formed by countless killing auras appeared in the sky. In the sea of blood, karma is overwhelming. Countless blood and countless bones surged among the bloody waves. A peerless sword that absorbed the resentment of countless creatures and exuded monstrous murderous power rose from the sea of blood. It was accompanied by the most evil and ferocious power in the world, wreaking havoc on the earth, and fell firmly into the hands of the blood-stained sword master. With the vicious sword in his hand, the whole aura of the blood-stained sword master also changed. He turned into a murderous demon who harvested lives and brought despair, releasing endless blood-evil energy. Under this evil spirit of blood, the trees, flowers and plants buried in the gravel plain were instantly sucked out of their vitality, lost their greenness, and became dry and rotten. The blood and energy of the major monks are constantly being devoured by that peerless fierce sword, turning into food for its fierce flames. Once this blood sea sword is unsheathed, it can no longer be held back. The blood-stained sword master put on a layer of red devilish blood clothes, and bright red mysterious bloodstains crawled onto his face, making him look a little crazy. He pointed his sword at Lin Zi. The fierce flames spurted out like real substance, overwhelming the sky and the earth, dyeing the whole world blood red. Do you have any last words? This sounds a little familiar. Lin Zi's mouth curled up slightly. This is the master he wants. Until now, Lin Zi has never had a chance to show off his true strength. Beat Zhang Tong and crush him. After attacking the Juji army, the army decisively retreated. He wanted to fight against his great enemy, Wolf City, but in the end, Wolf City asked the demon cult to perform a blood sacrifice and destroy the whole country. As a result, Lin Zi had no way to make a move. He had long been quiet and restless, wanting to really play a hearty and high-end game. And the blood-stained sword master in front of me came just in time. Last words. Lin Zi smiled. His smile was very bright. He pointed at old man Tianji and Miaoyu. Then you three will come together. An unparalleled rage suddenly emerged. The blood-stained sword master is crazy. Lin Zi is even crazier than him. Everyone was shocked by Lin Zi's extremely arrogant posture. You know, the blood-stained sword master is one of the 5 giants who dominate the Wagwang realm. And his status is not touted, but because of his actual super record, he has secured his position among the 5 giants of the Wagwang realm, sitting side by side with the masters of the Divine Sea realm. In the early years, when the blood-stained sword master was still in the dragon-level realm, he killed all the members of the half-step Divine Sea sect with 1 sword and 1 man, and the blood flowed like a river. This made him famous. After that, the blood-stained sword master achieved the half-step Divine Sea. From that day on, his blood sea sword was locked down for a long time. Because although the Wagwang realm is huge, it is difficult for him to have a master who can force him to use the blood sea sword. Now, the blood sea sword is unsheathed again. The blood-stained sword master recreates the complete state of killing all the enemies with 1 man and 1 sword. It can already threaten this mysterious half-step Divine Sea powerhouse. But not only was he not afraid, he actually wanted to challenge 3 and let the 3 giants come together. The blood-stained sword master is strong, and the other 2 who can join him at the same table as the 5 giants cannot be weak. He actually asked the 3 giants to come together. Mad. So crazy. How can such a person be called crazy? Hiss. This is what men of my generation should do. What a fart. Forget about one-on-one, he actually wants the 3 giants to come together and seek death. Half-step to the Divine Sea battle, today's trip is worth it. Quote. Everyone is looking forward to it, waiting for a super standard shocking battle to come. High above the sky, old man Tianji's face darkened instantly after being pointed out by Lin Zi. Snort. Young people are full of fire. I want to see what you are capable of saying. After a cold snort, old man Tianji burst into shock. He stood up straight, with a hint of heavenly mystery in his eyes, and his robes made a hunting sound in the air. A mysterious energy gathered together. Old man Tianji's gray beard and hair instantly turned black and shiny, and the old age on his face also dissipated, and his whole person returned to the heyday of his youth. A young and proud young man in white walked down from the void with his hands behind his back and stood beside the bloodstained sword master, facing Lin Zi from a distance. Very good. Lin Zi looked at the last wonderful desire again. Miao Yu laughed uncharacteristically. With a smile, the charm is natural, and the desire in the world becomes vigorous, rising like the morning sun. It's none of my business. I'm just bored and came to see the excitement. Sir, please continue. After saying that, Miao Yu conjured up a swing high in the clouds from nowhere, swaying a pair of long smooth and round legs, and sat on the swing quietly watching the three people who were about to fight. Miao Yu's actions made Zushan and Tianji frown secretly. This woman Miao Yu is not a good-tempered woman. Don't look at her being wild and unrestrained all day long, looking like she's having a lot of fun. But in fact, this woman is harder to mess with than anyone else, let alone take advantage of her. If anyone acts recklessly in front of her, she will immediately turn into a witch and kill everyone in that person's house. His current behavior. Something's wrong. Something is completely wrong. The bloodstained sword master and old man Tianji really couldn't understand. Thinking of Miao Yu's expression that seemed to recognize Lin Zi before, old man Tianji couldn't help but feel an inexplicable uneasiness in his heart. He quietly started to practice the art of divination. What we finally got was blank. Such a hexagram. Old man Tianji was secretly shocked. He thought about it carefully and then said, "We are all great monks who are half stepping into the divine sea. If we really want to fight, it will inevitably cause a commotion in Tianyan and the entire area will be devastated and not even a blade of grass will grow. Young man, if you are destined to receive the immortal order, you will be the most lucky person in my generation, Wagwang. We are poor in Wagwang, so it is rare to find a person like this. It is a pity. As for me, I won't embarrass you too much. Let's stop here. If you have real ability and deserve an immortal fate token, I will grant it to you. Fellow bloodstained Taoist, what do you think?" "Ah." The bloodstained sword master smiled disdainfully. After so many years of contact, he still doesn't know who old man Tianji is. As soon as he opened his mouth, the bloodstained sword master knew. He is scared. Humph, you are afraid of him, but I am not. The bloody fierce sword stood in front of him, and the owner of the bloody sword said sternly, "If you don't dare to fight, get out of the way." After that, he pointed his sword at Lin Zi. "Fight if you want, don't talk so much nonsense." Having said that, the bloodstained sword master took the lead in triggering the ultimate evil in the world. Crazy bloodthirsty killing energy instantly filled the blue sky. Jung. The bloodstained sword master slashed across the air. The sword glows sternly, shining on the 19 prefectures. A killing sword energy that seemed to be able to open up the world and bring about the ultimate destruction of the world struck at a speed invisible to the naked eye in an instant. As fast as the wind, as fast as thunder. One sword brings a blood-curdling, chilling bloody hell. Countless souls howled in the bloody light that ravaged the world, letting out heart-rending screams. Cut. Aha! A strong wind passes by. The extremely compressed Jian gang rushed in front of Lin Zi and was about to tear him apart the next moment. But the next moment, swordsmanship, I can do it too. Aha! A blade that was more terrifying and sharper than the bloodstained sword master tore through the space barrier, crossing the border from the distant ancient times. Earth level mid-grade, hidden sword and hidden light LV10. Lin Zi finally unleashed his peerless sword energy without reservation. The earth level mid-level swordsmanship, the hidden sword and the hidden light, the 10th level that has never been seen before or since, is activated instantly. I have been hiding my power for 10 years without trying it. Today I hide the handle of my sword and show it to you. For a moment, Lin Zi's entire figure was like an unsheathed ancient divine sword. The sword energy was sweeping across the world. Cut. Aha! Thousands of sword energy edges converge into a long river of sword energy. Electric light and flint. It broke through the blood sea of the bloodstained sword master, struck through the evil spirit with a divine strike, and came to the bloodstained sword master like a gust of wind. Jung. The bloodstained sword master's pupils suddenly shrank. He immediately picked up his sword and fled away. However, the frost blade hiding the sword was faster than he saw. More fierce. A ray of hidden shocking white suddenly burst out in the long river of sword energy. This is called hiding the sword and concealing the light. Not good. The bloodstained sword master had no time to react. Boom. The sword energy storm comes from hiding the sword, blooming with the light of destruction. Boom. The bloodstained sword master was torn apart by the sword energy storm, and his whole body flew backwards like a cannonball. It hit the ground hard. A bottomless sinkhole was created in the gravel plain. There was no movement for a long time. Everyone discovered it after using their spiritual sense to look. In that sword blow just now, the bloodstained sword master has been torn into pieces by the sword energy storm and has no life left. And the fierce sword that had absorbed the blood and evil energy of countless people also broke in the sword-to-sword competition and lost its divine light. Looking at Lin Zi again, a sword came out. He had already restrained his sword energy and hid his sword, as if nothing had happened. Under one sword. Make a decision. The bloodstained sword master of the 5 giants of Wagwang. Die today. Hiss. Everyone gasped. I couldn't believe my eyes at all. The bloodstained sword master died like this. One sword, just one sword. With one sword, he killed the fierce and powerful bloodstained sword master who had dominated the Wagwang realm for 100,000 years. What a joke. Even the realm master of the divine sea realm can't do this, right? What is the origin of this mysterious strong man? Everyone below was shocked. The hidden sword is even more shocking. If he read it correctly, that sword strike just now seemed to be his unique move from Hidden Sword Mountains, Hidden Sword Art. Although this sword has more connotations and power than the simple, hidden sword technique, the core meaning of the hidden sword is absolutely unmistakable. This is the improved technique of hidden sword technique. After confirming this, Zhang Jian began to doubt his life. How long has it been since this person watched Hidden Sword Art? Are there 20 days? No. In less than 20 days, this person not only understood the core secrets of the Hidden Sword Art, but also improved it and introduced the new. He spent a full 70,000 years in order to hide the sword technique. Outrageous. Very outrageous. Even the incarnation of a saint is not so outrageous. Quote. Zhang Jian fell into doubtful thoughts about life. And above the clouds, Miao Zhan, who has been sitting on the swing with a cynical look, has a subtle expression. He seemed to be smiling but not smiling, seemed to be charming but not charming, and his whole person was immersed in an emotion that was difficult to see through. The whole place fell into dead silence and silence. It took a long time before anyone set their sights on old man Tianji, another giant who fought to snatch the immortal fate order. Seeing this, everyone was stunned for a moment. I don't know when. The arrogant, high-spirited and youthful old man Tianji actually lost his youthful body again and became an old man with white hair and childish face again. He was sitting cross-legged in the void, far away from the battle range between Lin Zi and the bloodstained sword master, almost out of the visible range of Daoji Mountain. Quote. This old man Tianji is worthy of being old man Tianji. They had nothing to say. Ha ha ha, my little friend has incredible magical skills, I admire you very much. The immortal fate token can shine and heat in my little friend's hands. It is my blessing in the Wagwang realm. This time my little friend enters the mountain, I think he will surely win the first place among the 9 sects and inherit the position of half-saint. Here, I wish you all the best and success. Old man Tianji didn't have any reaction on the surface, and complimented him with a smile. But his heart was already shaking like wild thunder, beating thump-thump. The back of my heart was covered in a heavy cold sweat. As the old enemy and old friend of the bloodstained sword master, the old man knows his secrets of strength very well. The two of them are just like brothers, and it is difficult to tell the difference between life and death. If we really want to fight, fighting for dozens or hundreds of years may not yield results. But now, the bloodstains are gone. Gone with one sword. In other words, even if he goes, he won't either. Old man Tianji couldn't help but feel grateful for his vigilance. If you don't notice something is wrong in advance, stop the loss in time. Instead, they followed the bloodstains and started a silly 2-on-1 fight. Then I'm afraid I'm already lying in it now. Fortunately. What a blessing. Lin Zi curled his lips speechlessly. Don't you want the immortal fate order? No, my little friend is so amazing that I am ashamed of myself. I admire you. I admire you. This old turtle, he's just warming up. Lin Zi turned his attention to one of the members of each small sect below. How about you? Are you convinced? This sudden sentence made everyone raise their eyebrows. What's the situation? Is there anyone in our group of spectators who can be talked to by this person personally? Everyone's eyes were looking for Lin Zi, and everyone's eyes were focused on an ordinary little monk in black. Quote. Seeing this, the young monk in black shook his head helplessly and took off his disguise. He rose into the air, and powerful pressure spread instantly. A wonderful ocean of human life ebbs and flows behind him. In the vast ocean, the ordinary little monk in black gradually grew into a domineering and majestic middle-aged man in black with the majesty of a superior. Come, great monk of the Divine Sea Realm. And there is only one great monk in the Divine Sea Realm in the Wagwang Realm. Lord of Wagwang Realm. Seeing the arrival of the Wagwang Realm Master, everyone present twitched their lips. Even though everyone was here, he was still hiding in the crowd, pretending to be an ordinary young monk. You want to sit on a mountain and watch the tigers fight, and reap the benefits in the end, right? You are a great monk in the Divine Sea Realm, isn't it? Old fox, how insidious. The main body of the Wagwang Realm glowed with divine light, and he sat cross-legged on the Divine Sea and asked. How did you discover me? Lin Zi said calmly, you can see it with your eyes. If he couldn't see the problem with such a conspicuous life aura, then wouldn't his tens of thousands of skills have been in vain? Quote. Good eyes to see. Wagwang Realm Master was speechless for a moment. Lin Zi then said, do you still want to fight? Stop wasting my time. Beat him, beat me even more. The Master of Wagwang Realm cursed secretly. Although he is in the Divine Sea Realm, his combat effectiveness is only slightly higher than that of Bloodstain. If Zushin did not die directly from the sword just now, but only suffered some minor injuries, then he can still be shady and fight hard. But the Bloodstains immediately turned cold. Even the Blood Sea Sword was interrupted. How else could he fight with such monster-level combat power? Beat him on the head. It can't be beaten, it can't be beaten at all. Immortal fate is important. His life, which has been practiced for hundreds of thousands of years, is even more important. My little friend is joking. Wag Wangjing said with a smile, like Tianji, I deeply admire my little friend's unparalleled magical power. The order of immortal fate is destined to be in my hands. How can we, ordinary mortals, dare to go against God's will? Please, little friend. Lin Zi shrugged helplessly. Forget it, these people in Wagwang Realm don't need to be beaten. It's better to go fight with the people from the 9 sects of Qingyu. Lin Zi turned and left. He raised the immortal order. The real door to Daoji Mountain is open. As a mysterious divine light flashed, Lin Zi's figure disappeared from the spot. See Lin Zi leaving. Everyone present breathed a long sigh of relief. Call, it's killing me. Where did this strong man come from? I don't know, I've never heard of it at all. Could it be that it came from across the border from other borders? Everyone was talking and talking. At this time, the shadow of Daoji Mountain changed again. Another mysterious light rises into the sky. Everyone immediately looked up. Beside the shadow of Daoji Mountain, Zhangjian and Dun followed Lin Zi while everyone was relaxing and sent Luo Wuchen into Daoji Mountain. You ride on the horse. Grass. In such a situation, no one knew what was going on. Everyone yelled, beat their chests, and felt like they had missed a huge opportunity. Especially when they sensed the cultivation of Zhangjian and Dunyi, each of them became so angry that their eyes turned green and their whole bodies trembled. A mere chi-blooded Langyan and a bloody-blooded sun actually sent people in under the noses of all of them. You are 100,000 times more insidious than the old thief boundary master. You really deserve to die. No, can we still have 2 immortal fate tokens in Wagwang Realm? I'm not prepared. Who would have thought that after that one, there would be an immortal fate order? Quote. Everyone beat their chests and beat their feet, feeling depressed. Looking at Dunyi and Zhangjian, they wished they could cut them into pieces with 1,000 knives. But I can only stop thinking about it. From the moment they sent people into Daoji Mountain, everything had been concluded. No matter how much they regret, no matter how much they beat their chests, it can't change the fact that they are already winners. Therefore, everyone just looked at them for a few times and then looked away with sighs, and then went to congratulate Dunyi and Zhang Jian like no one else. High in the sky, the two masters of Wagwang realm, Tianji, only glanced at Dunyi and Zhangjian before retracting their gazes and continued to discuss who Linzi was. Compared to these two guys who had successfully stolen the chicken, they obviously cared more about Linzi's existence. Tianji, did you see anything in your hexagram? Old man Tianji shook his head, it's completely blank. This person, it's like a fog. I can't see through it, I can't see through it at all. After saying that, old man Tianji pointed his gaze at Miao Yu, who was watching Daoji Mountain in trance. Fairy Miao Yu, if I guess correctly, you should know this strange and powerful man, right? Based on Miao Yu's series of reactions just now, old man Tianji can definitely say that Miao Yu definitely knows him. Miao Yu didn't answer the two of them, she just smiled mysteriously. Then, she took one last look at Daoji Mountain, then turned around and walked away in the void. With his back to Daoji Mountain, the pink color in Miao Yu's eyes became more intense, and she gently opened her pink lips. The wind heard her whisper. Soon, we will meet again. I can't wait any longer. In the mysterious virtual world, a majestic ancient mountain is located. On top of the huge mountain, a divine light fell. Linzi's figure appeared at the foot of Daoji Mountain. 9th place will be rewarded with 992 threads of Daoji Qi. As soon as Linzi arrived, he saw a young man in plain clothes carrying a green sword on his back and a red leaf pattern between his eyebrows writing down his arrival record. Immediately afterwards, the immortal fate order in Linzi's hand rose out of thin air. In an instant, a trace of mysterious Taoist energy, filled with vitality and destruction at the same time, was poured into the immortal fate order. On the immortal fate order, 3 large ancient characters came into Linzi's eyes. On them were 992, which represented the number of Linzi's calamity energy. After the man in green sword and plain clothes recorded Linzi's results, he didn't even look at Linzi and left with a calm expression. Yet not even a breath has passed. The man in plain clothes stopped and turned around. Because another divine light appeared next to Linzi. Only then did a trace of doubt appear on the face of the man in plain clothes. These two people actually come from the same realm. And the entry time is not far off. What are people in their realm doing? Sleeping, although I feel strange in my heart. But the movements of his hands did not stop at all. The 10th place will be awarded with 991 strands of Dao Tribulation Qi. Afterwards, the man in plain clothes repeated the previous process and left. It was only then that Luo Wuchen, who had just experienced the thrill of stealing a chicken, realized what he was doing. His face turned red. 10th place. I'm actually 10th. Luo Wuchen never thought that he could be among the best among 1,000 lucky people. After all, the world is so big and full of wonders. He might be considered an unparalleled genius in the Wagwang realm, but in the vast Qing territory, there is heaven outside the sky, and there are people outside the world. Especially those high-level realms in the core of Qingyu, they have better heaven and earth conditions, a longer and long heritage, and better powerful famous teachers. Why can't others be better than the geniuses in this small place like myself? Therefore, Luo Wuchen's psychological expectations are very low. As long as he can enter the range of 400 to 600, it will be a high starting point. Now, he has reached the 10th place. This is several hundred calamities higher than the 400-600 he expected. Luo Wuchen couldn't help but feel excited. However, despite being excited, Luo Wuchen also did not forget whose prestige he relied on to enter Daoji Mountain and finish 10th. He bowed deeply to Linzi. Thank you, Senior King Shenwu. Linzi said lightly, no need to thank me. If you can keep up and seize the opportunity, that is your own ability. Instead of thanking me here, it's better to think about the next step. Yes, that's what Senior taught me. Luo Wuchen tried his best to calm down his excitement. He looked around. The first 8 people who had arrived earlier were looking at the 2 of them with interest. Seeing the existence of these 8 people, the joy in Luo Wuchen's heart was wiped away, and his heart suddenly condensed. Senior, the 8 of them are actually faster than you. To be fair, Senior Shenwu King's speed is already outrageous. After all, like a senior who holds the Immortal Fate token, he does not need to hide, let alone use tricks. He can directly use absolute power to violently break the situation and crush a situation that has never been seen in the ages. In terms of speed, there really is no second way to be faster than the predecessor. Unless, like their predecessors, they entered directly with the absolute attitude of crushing a realm. But, is it possible? The 8 people in front of them don't look like the kind of peerless strong men who can dominate a realm. Thinking of this, Luo Wuchen planned to spy on the enemy first. But Luo Wuchen hasn't made any move yet. An ordinary-looking fat Taoist boy walked over, looking familiar. As soon as he opened his mouth, Lindsay and the 2 of them were stunned. He said, "Did you 2 come here as soon as you woke up?" Quote. Wake up. That's it. Luo Wuchen's mouth twitched. Lindsay was speechless. The fat Taoist boy scratched his head and said, "Yes. Those of us who arrived early were just within the range of the shadow of Daoji Mountain. I woke up and turned over, and here we are. Oh, except for the first guy, he." Luo Wuchen tried his best to appear calm. What's wrong with him? He was hit directly in the face by Daoji Mountain. Quote. After hearing what the fat Taoist said, Luo Wuchen felt uneasy for a long time. Thinking about this incident of the Immortal Fate Order, the master and the apprentice were so anxious that they tried every means. Used all means. They are united with the Hidden Sword Mountain, and they are attacking the east and attacking the west, driving away tigers and devouring wolves. At this point, you may not be able to enter Daoji Mountain. As for the 8 people in front, they didn't do anything, and Daoji Shan fell right next to them. This is really, Luo Wuchen had a big word, Qian, in his heart. However, as the doubts about how these 8 people arrived were cleared, Luo Wuchen felt relieved. He thought that the 8 people in front of him were also perverted beings like the senior Shenwu King who was suspected to be the incarnation of a saint. If this is really the case, then the rest of them are still having fun. The Daoji Mountain trial has completely become a stage for their performances. So far so good. Quote. What a fart. Isn't this a bigger problem? People can get to this point just by luck, who knows what will be more outrageous later. Thinking of this, Luo Wuchen became more cautious. He first glanced at Lindsay covertly, and when he saw that Lindsay had no expression, he acted as a pawn. Luo Wuchen chuckled and said, "I see, then our situation is similar to yours, Brother Dao, and we are also closer to Daoji Mountain." Look, I just said it. The fat Taoist boy seemed to have won, proudly showing off to the other 7 people. Seeing this, Luo Wuchen narrowed his eyes and asked again, "Brother Dao, you come first, do you know what we are going to do next?" This time, after all, it is the half-saint choosing a successor, which is of great significance. Will there be any other additional changes? The fat Taoist boy said, "As for this, I don't know either. The 9th sect senior brother in charge of recording didn't mention it either. Maybe we won't make an official announcement until everyone is gathered." At this time, another young man in red stood up. He said, "If nothing else, the first step is to climb the stairs. After all, this is the procedure for the Tribulation Mountain trial, and it has been the same for hundreds of millions of years." As he spoke, the red-haired boy pointed to the ancient stone staircase that was winding and full of signs of damage in front of the foot of the mountain. "That's the only way up the mountain." "No, it's right there." Lindsay and Luo Wuchen looked over. "But from what I could see, except for a bit of dilapidated and ancient atmosphere, I didn't think there was anything particularly magical about the damaged stone staircase." Luo Wuchen then asked, "Is there anything special about this stone staircase?" The boy in red smiled and said, "You have asked the right person. It is said that the ancient stone staircase at the first level of the Tribulation Mountain can test people's will. Every time you take a step, there will be illusions from the ancient times on the stone staircase that interfere with your thoughts and impact your will. If those who are not determined enough go up, they will be unable to move even an inch. Often they cannot take more than 2 steps before they are eroded by the ancient illusion and cannot extricate themselves for a long time. In more serious cases, it may even leave a lifelong shadow. Hearing this, Luo Wuchen's face condensed slightly. So, the first level is to select those with a strong will. Will those with weak minds who cannot complete the stone stairs be eliminated? Hearing this, the boy in red laughed. Ha ha ha. After walking up the stone stairs, Luo Wuchen didn't understand what the boy in red was laughing at. The fat Taoist boy explained, since the Daoji Mountain trial was established, in the hundreds of millions of years, only 13 people have completed the stone staircase. So it's not that those who can't complete the stone stairs will be eliminated. Otherwise, the trial behind Daoji Mountain will be unnecessary. In this Calamity Mountain, each level is independent, and there is no elimination. Every time you reach that level, you will get the corresponding Calamity energy. In the end, the sum of all the Calamity energy is the real final ranking. And this is also the criterion for selecting disciples from the 9 sects of Qingyu. In the view of the 9 sects of Qingyu, some disciples are born with good luck. By relying only on luck, they can achieve great progress. And some disciples are determined. Relying on their firm will, they can persevere and become late bloomers. There are also disciples who are extremely talented and have a high level of understanding. They have been able to travel across the world for millions of years with their natural aptitudes. All of this is possible. So the 9 sects of Qingyu will not be one size fits all when selecting disciples. They will look at the performance and potential talents of the disciples in various aspects, make comprehensive evaluations, and teach students in accordance with their aptitude. That's it. Thank you, Brother Dao, for clarifying my doubts. Luo Wuchen couldn't help but sigh when he heard this. Otherwise, the 9 sects of the Qing territory could be the absolute overlords who have ruled the Qing territory for tens of millions of years. Based on this selection mode of the Mountain Tribulation Trial, the 9 sects of Qingyu should be the absolute overlord of Chongchun Immortal. And he can now step into such a sacred sect. Thinking of this, Luo Wuchen felt a little excited. It's okay. Most people only know that there is a trial of tribulation energy in Daoji Mountain. There are many people who don't know the specific details. After the fat Taoist boy finished speaking, he added, I suggest you, fellow Taoist, to sit down and adjust your breath first, adjust your mental state to the best, and prepare to face this ancient stone staircase. In the past, many people suffered from poor mental health and lost the opportunity to obtain more calamity energy. Quote. Hearing this, Luo Wuchen gave the fat Taoist boy a slightly strange look. Brother Taoist, aren't you afraid of telling me these things? The fat Taoist boy smiled and said, Brother Taoist, you are worrying too much. In my father's words, if everyone cherishes their own treasure and fights for it, and there is no room for others to suppress dissidents, then Qingyu will have no future. And Dad also said that if you keep comparing yourself with rubbish, you will become rubbish. Meeting your opponent is the right path that can truly inspire you. A golden domain should be full of vitality and full of arrogant people. They always engage in those low-level villains. Qingyu takes jujube pills. Luo Wuchen didn't know what to say. The father of the fat Taoist boy should be a great sage and powerful figure in Qingyu. Thank you, Brother Dao. Luo Wuchen was convinced by these words. The fat Taoist boy waved his hand, it's okay. Just adjust your breathing. Time is running out. Before Luo Wuchen could ask again, the fat Taoist boy said again, Daoji Mountain is in the virtual world. The time in the virtual world is very different from the flow rate in the outside world, and it is unstable. It can take as short as 12 hours, as long as 2 days, and sometimes even only a few hours. The outside world's fairy fate orders the trial date to end. So there's not a lot of time left for us to adjust. No, look, there's another one coming so soon. As he spoke, another divine light flashed through. A new trialist appeared in Daoji Mountain. And this man was full of evil spirits, and he was holding a bloody human head in his hand. Obviously, he entered Daoji Mountain after a lot of fighting. The newcomer was a big man with a curly beard. His whole body was exuding surging blood, and he was wrapped in a red blood suit dripping with blood beads. The whole person looked fierce and vicious. As soon as he arrived, his aggressive eyes couldn't help but wander back and forth to Lindsay and the others, as if looking for the next prey. Upon noticing the look in the bearded man's eyes, the expressions of everyone present turned cold. Even the fat Taoist boy, who was always calm and familiar, could not help but frown. Didn't anyone tell you that your eyes were rude? The young man in red before even sneered and said rudely. Ah, put away your little place making tricks. Daoji Mountain is not a place where you can act wild and establish your authority. As soon as the young man in red finished speaking, the big man with the curly beard looked like a poisonous snake that had found its target, and his vicious eyes instantly turned around. Yeah, he tore the head into pieces in his hands. Seeing this, the boy in red shook his head helplessly. Tisk, good words can't persuade a ghost. At this time, the man from the 9 sects with green swords and plain clothes arrived again. Faced with the tension in the field, he said calmly, Daoji Mountain is the holy land of Qingyu. Before the trial officially starts, all fighting is prohibited here. If there is any violation. The man in plain clothes glanced at the bearded man, and a ray of sword light suddenly appeared in his eyes. Cut. With an understatement of Zan, the man in plain clothes continued his official duties. The 11th place will be awarded 990 Silk Dao Tribulation Energy. After that, the man in plain clothes turned and left. But at the same place, the man with the curly beard who was so arrogant just now was no longer arrogant. His head was covered in cold sweat, and his whole face was filled with fear. No one knows what happened to him in that moment of swordlight that caused his attitude to change drastically. That gentle word, Zan, seemed to have cut off all his arrogance. Seeing the look of the bearded man, the boy in red tsked, idiot, you still don't believe me. After that, the boy in red and the others turned their heads, ignored this idiot, and went to adjust themselves. Only Lin Zi and a young man in Xingyi who looked very lazy looked at the bearded man thoughtfully. At this moment, the young man in green noticed Lin Zi. He looked Lin Zi up and down, with a hint of interest in his eyes. But this divine light comes and goes just as quickly. He seemed to have thought of something again and felt that nothing was interesting. He quickly returned to his previous listless appearance and continued to sit cross-legged and doze off. Lin Zi also glanced at the young man in green. This young man in Xingyi, who has been dozing off and looks very lazy, is the number 1 in the fat Taoist's mouth. The one who was hit in the face by Daoji Mountain. Sure enough, who can enter the Daoji Mountain in advance is simple. This Daoji Mountain trial, which brings together the heroes of the Qingyu world, is really the right time. In Lin Zi's full expectation. Time flies. In Daoji Mountain, divine light keeps coming. More and more people crowded at the foot of the mountain. Some of them are the lucky ones, who got in by chance, some are the strongest who try their best to break out of the siege, and some are wise men who plan a situation to reap the benefits. Their arrival made Daoji Mountain even more lively. The foot of the mountain gathered together. All the characters gathered together to discuss their opinions and cultivation experiences on this trial. It wasn't until a heavyweight arrived that Daoji Mountain was quiet for a moment. Divine light descended. A skinny old man whose vitality and blood have declined and is about to die, who seems to fall down if the wind blows, appears from it. Saw this old man coming. Many of the geniuses from the central realm present were shocked. Honorable Kurong, even this guy is here. Also, Venerable Kurong is the undisputed number 1 Tianyuan powerhouse in Nanjuo realm. If there is an immortal fate order in Nanjuo realm, how can it escape this person's eyes? Tisk. Even the venerable level experts from Humanity Tianyuan are here. I'm afraid this Daoji Mountain trial will be difficult. Everyone was talking. Many talented people who knew Venerable Kurong immediately went to salute the old man. I've seen Venerable Kurong. A dull smile appeared on Lord Kurong's thin face. It's better for you young people to get here faster. Don't dare, I can't wait as long as your majesty can. Venerable Kurong shook his head and laughed, his hoarse voice flowing quietly. Old men and women are all people who have lived for tens of millions of years and are half buried in the earth. The future of Qingyu still depends on you. I came here just because I want to take advantage of the last bit of time to give it a good try. Perhaps God has mercy on me, and this old man can still understand the mystery of life at this moment of death. Just do your job and don't worry about the old man. Kurong said this, but who dared to really listen? The 5-level Tianyuan of the real body, especially the powerful ones at the human Tianyuan level who are named the Venerable, are all the pinnacle beings of the Qingyu realm. Each has been leading the way for millions of years. And these people, although they have entered the 9 sects of the Qing territory, it is still unclear whether they can achieve Tianyuan, let alone the unreachable humanity Tianyuan. Whether it's comparing potential or strength, they are far behind this guy. At this time, the figure with a green sword and plain clothes appeared again. When he saw Lord Kurong, there was a little emotion in his eyes. Senior Kurong. The skinny Lord Kurong hurriedly waved his hands. The realm of the Heavenly Sword Emperor is already far superior to that of the old man. This senior man, the old man will never dare to take it seriously. Hearing the words, Sword Emperor, from Lord Kurong, everyone suddenly felt terrified. Heavenly Sword Emperor. In the 5th realm of Shantian Tianyuan, human nature is revered and Earth realm is the Emperor. The person who takes the name of the Emperor is the peerless genius and peerless strongman who has condensed the authentic Tianyuan. The majesty and divine power of these powerful men are just as their name suggests, Emperor. The King of Monks. No more words are needed, these 4 words are the best explanation for their existence. Such existences are like dragons in the 9 heavens, and ordinary monks will never have the opportunity to see them in their entire lives. Now, in this Tribulation Mountain trial, they actually saw a legendary emperor. An emperor personally came to preside over the Daoji Mountain trial. The 9 sects of Qingyu were really amazing. They're just slicing their butts with a knife, and their eyes have been opened. I'll wait to see the Heavenly Sword Emperor. The man in plain clothes, known as the Heavenly Sword Emperor, just nodded slightly to everyone, and then said helplessly to Lord Kurong, "You're here again. You and Master are old friends, and I have received your guidance many times in the early years. Even if I become a Mingshuan sage, I don't dare to show off in front of you." With that said, the Heavenly Sword Emperor recorded the ranking for Venerable Kurong, gave the Immortal Fate token with both hands after replenishing the energy of Tao Tribulation. You are number 397, which is relatively high. With your ability, there is still great hope for this trial. Lord Kurong smiled and shook his head. I am an old man on the verge of death. How can he be so capable? This time, if I can have the opportunity to meet the half-saint old man and get a few words of true guidance, I will have no regrets. As he spoke, several more divine lights landed on Daoji Mountain. Okay, don't worry about me, let's go do your work first. The Heavenly Sword Emperor bid farewell to Venerable Kurong. Okay, I will come to visit you later, and we can talk about old things again. Counting the time, we haven't seen each other for almost 300,000 years since you went into seclusion for these years. Master, he was talking about you a few days ago, saying that you still owed him a jar of Drunken Dream Immortal Brew. He has been waiting for you to come out of seclusion to ask for a drink. Ha ha ha, that old drunkard actually still remembers it. Lord Kurong couldn't help but laugh. Okay, once this trip to Daoji Mountain is over, I will bring the fairy wine and have a good drink with you too, master and disciple. Then I will take my leave for the time being. After that, the Heavenly Sword Emperor went to perform his official duties. Venerable Kurong chatted with some young juniors on the field, looking kind and approachable. This caused many people to come forward to pay their respects, hoping to make friends with this venerable man and get a few words of advice from him. Amidst the excitement, time flies again. With the arrival of each character, the foothills of Daoji Mountain are gradually filled up. And with their arrival, the top of Daoji Mountain was shrouded in mist. The 9 great figures standing proudly at the pinnacle of the Qingyu also stepped out of the void realm, and their eyes overlooking the world fell on the group of lucky people at the foot of Daoji Mountain who participated in this battle for the successor of the semi-saint. And in their very center, an old man in green with 3,000 feet of gray hair in his dying years closed his eyes tightly and hung in the void with his body bent and cross-legged. The gray hair like long dragons scattered into the world like clouds hanging from the sky, and enveloped the world like a huge net. The ends of his hair were nowhere to be seen, extending into the void invisible to ordinary people. Only wisps of bright luster could be vaguely seen flowing down the hair. It seems that some kind of energy is being drawn from the endless void. However, in the eyes of those 9 great figures, the old man's gray hair is not hair, and the flowing luster is not the energy he draws from. What they saw, it's a chain, it's shackles. It was the countless imprisonments set up by this side of the world out of fear of the gray-haired old man. In the eyes of this world, the existence of the old man is a great disaster to this world. This old man is clearly the true supreme master of Qingyu, the first person under the saint. He is also the author of this immortal fate order trial. Qinghe half-saint. He personally came to Daoji Mountain to witness and select his successor step by step. Therefore, the standards of this Daoji Mountain trial are also exceptionally high. Originally, the envoys responsible for recruiting disciples from the 9 sects were usually the elders of the 9 sects. Occasionally, only when there were a few outstanding trials, the deputy sect leader would be invited to come in person. But because of the arrival of half-saint Qinghe, this time, all the strongest sect masters of the 9 sects are here. And the Tianyuan monk who was originally responsible for presiding over the Daoji Mountain trial process was also temporarily raised to the emperor level. A Tianzhou level emperor Tianyuan personally monitored and recorded the entire trial process. We must be absolutely fair and just, and bring out the truest side of each disciple into the assessment and evaluation. After all, the successor to the half-saint is no small matter. They couldn't help but not take it seriously. They quietly observed each trialist. Time slipped away silently. Soon, a being spoke, and his voice echoed through the void. Time is up. Only 812 people arrived. Quote. Nearly 200 people failed to get in. 20%, that's quite a difference. Hold on. No, whatever the time is, it should be. Those who can't get in can only say that their abilities are limited and they are not eligible for this trial. Yes, it should be so. Seconded. Then let's get started. Quote. As the 9 beings spoke, they turned their attention to the gray-haired half-saint Qinghe. The half-saint paid no attention to the crowd. He just closed his eyes, hunched over, silently, as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. Quote. Seeing that the half-saint did not respond, the 9 beings immediately notified the Heavenly Sword Emperor to announce the arrival time limit and start the trial immediately. Time up. Let's start. Be sure to strictly control the situation. Half-saint Qinghe is watching. The Heavenly Sword Emperor received the order from the top of Daoji Mountain. He glanced at the sky shrouded in tribulation aura, as if he wanted to see the holy face through the layers of tribulation aura. Turning around, the Heavenly Sword Emperor appeared at the edge of the stone staircase at the foot of Daoji Mountain. He let out a piercing sword cry that penetrated the clouds and the sky. Zheng, clang, time up, start the trial. As the voice of the Heavenly Sword Emperor fell, all the Daoji Mountain passages were closed. At the same time, the shadows of Daoji Mountain in various realms also disappeared without a trace. Outside world, the eyes of all those who are about to make a last-ditch effort are about to burst. Reluctant roars pierced the sky. No, almost, just that close. 1 more hour, just 1 hour, and I can slip in smoothly. Ah, quote. But these roars cannot be heard in Daoji Mountain. Daoji Mountain, the much-anticipated trial has begun. The Heavenly Sword Emperor stood by the ancient stone stairs going up the mountain, scanning everyone at the foot of the mountain. Waves of calamity energy grew and spread throughout the Daoji Mountain, making it seem that Daoji Mountain had recovered from the cycle of life and death and became full of life again. The ancient stone staircase beside him is exuding an inexplicable and mysterious luster. It seems to have the ability to enchant the soul, attracting everyone's attention, making people immersed in it, and stimulating people's endless reverie. The first trial, the ancient ladder. The Heavenly Sword Emperor said solemnly, this ladder was left by the ancients and can inspire the deepest greed, anger, ignorance, and desire in your hearts. Let you see the extreme evil, extreme beauty, extreme kindness, extreme truth, and extreme hypocrisy in the world. The more steps, the higher the level, and the scarier you will see. You need to be careful about everything in this, be careful. If there is anyone who is trapped in an illusion and cannot extricate himself, you need to immediately squeeze the Immortal Fate token in your hand to stop this trial. The Immortal Fate token will take you out of the illusion and enter the second trial. Don't overestimate your capabilities, which may lead to lifelong regrets. With that said, the first trial begins immediately. The trial lasts until these 1,000 strands of calamity are burned out. In the palm of the Heavenly Sword Emperor's hand, wisps of calamity energy are slowly burning. At that time, no matter which step you go to, the trial will automatically end and enter the second trial. After that, the figure of the heavenly sword emperor disappeared, leaving only the mass of calamity burning quietly. Next moment, whoosh, whoosh whoosh, countless swift shadows swarmed up like hungry tigers and sheep in an instant, rushing up the ancient ladder. They galloped on the ladder, taking 2 steps at a time, scrambling to be the first, trying to pass the ladder as quickly as possible and show their best side in the eyes of the big shots on the mountain top. He looked high-spirited and proud. Daoji Mountain Ladder. Nothing more than that. Is it just an illusion to this extent? This can't stop me. Fellow Taoists, I'll go ahead and wait for you at the top of the mountain. Ha ha ha. Isn't this too simple? Is there any problem? What's the problem? The people who can come this time are the strongest or most lucky people in each realm. They are not simple people. The first half of the journey will naturally go smoothly, and the second half of the journey. Then it's all up to you. Indeed, let them be proud now, the difficult road is still waiting for them. Quote. When everyone spoke, their speed was not slow at all. Taking 2 steps at a time and taking 1 step at a time, like a dragon walking like a tiger walking like a dragon, he has already crossed dozens of steps of the ladder and is gradually approaching the top of the mountain. It seems that the selection of the half-saint successor will go very smoothly under the hands of this group of sophisticated people. But actually, the real situation is exactly the opposite. In the ancient ladder, most people did say to their colleagues next to them how easy it was to go up the mountain. Talking and laughing, but their feet did not move at all, and they all stood still. A few people could barely walk a few steps. Only a few people can still walk up the mountain with firm eyes. From the very beginning, there has been serious polarization in this team that is scrambling to advance together. It's just that they have already fallen into an illusion and did not notice it. This scene made Luo Wuchen's hair stand on end. To be cautious, Luo Wuchen just stood on the ladder and hesitated for a moment, then walked back, waiting for others to explore the way first. Unexpectedly, this cautiousness really made him feel cold. Is this the illusion of Daoji Mountain? The fat Taoist boy next to Luo Wuchen also looked serious. Yes, this is the scariest part of the first trial of Daoji Mountain. You thought you were going up a mountain. Compared with the sudden appearance of beauties, magical powers, and unexpected encounters, this is what makes people most unpredictable. Because you know in your heart that the beauty and the magical power may be fake, and going up the mountain seems real or illusion. This is what you want most and the most real at this moment. At this time, the red-haired boy on the side also came over. He smiled evilly. It's more than that. It's even possible that what we are talking about now, everything you see is already in an illusion. When you go down the mountain, you want others to explore the road first and see Daoji Mountain clearly, and the illusion of Daoji Mountain helps you achieve this. You think you have retreated back down the mountain, but in fact you are still on the mountain. True and false, false and true. After saying that, the red-haired boy laughed and said, "Okay, I've seen enough of the show. Let's go, fellow Taoist Luo." Quote. Luo Wuchen was silent. For a long time, he felt suddenly a little cold all over his body. He looked at the red-haired boy and the fat Taoist boy who had already set off. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. You're really right. I've really entered an illusion when I'm riding a horse. After that, he took another look at Lin Zi, who was motionless and seemed to have turned into a stone statue. Can't you even see through the illusion, Senior Shenwu King? He is indeed an existence that seems to be the incarnation of a saint. Luo Wuchen sighed. He understood that he had indeed entered an illusion. The reason is simple. Fellow Taoist Luo. The red-haired boy woke up the dreamer with one word. He never said his surname was Luo. Boom. The illusion was shattered. Luo Wuchen returned to the real world. After returning to reality, he had unknowingly moved away from the foot of the mountain in the illusion and crossed dozens of steps of the ladder. Luo Wuchen breathed a sigh of relief and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. The Daoji Mountain trial is well deserved. Heaving a long sigh of relief, Luo Wuchen raised his head and looked ahead again. Ahead, the red-haired boy who woke up the dreamer with his words was turning back and smiling mysteriously at Luo Wuchen. Then he quickly turned his head and walked towards the ladder without saying a word. Seeing this, Luo Wuchen broke into a cold sweat again. Come again. Did I think I had come out, but in fact I was still in the illusion. Quote. Luo Wuchen began to doubt his life. And this time, Daoji Mountain top. Among the 9 great beings, someone chuckled softly, 2 people from the Red Spirit tribe, interesting. The Skilling tribe has indeed developed rapidly in the past million years. It seems that luck has begun to favor the Skilling tribe. How to say, expulsion or, so be it. The Skilling clan's mutual induction as their clan's talent, and it can also be considered as their personal ability. Compared to this, let's look at this number 1, this young man. The 9 beings quickly revealed this trivial matter. They focused more on the current number 1 player on the ancient ladder. The number 1 at this time was none other than Lin Zi. As early as the beginning of the trial, Lin Zi had already stepped onto the ladder. Lin Zi's purpose is very clear. He came this time to join the 9 sects of Qingyu and gain the core position within the 9 sects. It's about the future. He wants what he needs, and he will grab what needs to be snatched. The strength that should be shown must be shown. Jinyi Yexing's low-key approach is not suitable for a place like Daoji Mountain. So, Lin Zi went straight up the mountain with great momentum. His accumulation of tens of thousands of exercises contains all kinds of wonderful methods for tempering one's state of mind and will. Lin Zi's spiritual will has long been solidified, and he will not waver at all on the road ahead, straight to the clouds. Such a dazzling performance naturally attracted the attention of 9 beings. This young man, it's level 597, and he hasn't even hesitated at all. Lao Zhang, at what level did you start to hesitate? The being known as Lao Zhang said calmly, level 536, he is better than me. Interesting, it seems that the 14th person from our Qing territory who has completed the dreamland of the ladder to heaven is about to appear. As he said this, he went up the ladder to heaven. Lin Zi has reached the 669th level of the ladder. His speed and progress shocked everyone struggling on the ladder. The fat Taoist boy and the red-haired boy were both stunned. So fast. I suspect that I fell into an illusion. This person should be my imaginary enemy in the illusion. How about you pinch the immortal fate order? Roll. At the foot of Daoji Mountain. The first person who was hit in the face by Daoji Mountain before was still at the foot of the mountain. He is the only one who has not set off yet. He also looked lazy and half asleep. Obviously, even major events such as the Daoji Mountain trial and the selection of a successor by a half-saint could not make the lazy man become serious. It seems that everything in this world has lost its interest and become boring in his eyes. Until everyone was almost done walking on the mountain. He yawned, stretched and stood up, preparing to walk up the mountain. At this time, he noticed Lin Zi, who was ranked first on the ladder. He then looked at the other people who were stretched away by Lin Zi. He, who had always been dull-eyed, finally became a little more interested at this moment. It is you. Finally something interesting. With that said, the lazy young man stepped onto the Daoji Mountain ladder. Wherever he passed, the mysterious calamity in the ladder instantly dissipated a lot, becoming thin and tasteless, and even the halo of illusions was eclipsed. In this way, the young man stepped onto the ladder to heaven step by step. His speed was not fast, but the victory was that he did not hesitate at all. He followed the tribulation wind in the mountain and caught up, quickly surpassing many people and chasing Lin Zi's pace. And this time, Lin Zi, who has been walking at the front, has reached level 799. We have reached the final and most difficult level 200 junction. This step can awaken all the deepest things in a person's heart. In the first trial, 90% of the geniuses who were able to reach this point failed. But he still didn't hesitate at all. Take one step forward. Next moment, the tribulation energy is transformed. The deepest thing in Lin Zi's heart was finally awakened. And as these things were awakened, Lin Zi, who had never stopped, finally stopped. Daoji Mountain is disillusioned. In a blink of an eye, Lin Zi had already appeared in another place. There are many high-rise buildings here. The bustling streets are full of traffic and feasting. Lin Zi stood in a familiar community building. The white clothes on his body had been replaced by modern casual clothes that he had not seen for 18 years. He's back on Earth again. Lin Zi didn't say a word. He touched the key in his bag. Go upstairs. Open the door. Done in one go. My son is back. Go and wash your hands first. Your dad will come back with 2 bottles of wine and then have dinner. A familiar yet unfamiliar voice came. Lin Zi's lips trembled. He walked into the house and returned to the nest he had been away from for 18 years. Familiar feelings surged throughout Lin Zi's body. Quote. He sat down at the dinner table. Waiting. Bang. Outside the door, Father Lin came back with 2 bottles of beer. My son is back. Come on, today is your 19th birthday. Let's have a bottle. Lin Zi took the wine, opened both bottles of wine, and placed them in front of Father Lin. Then he went into the kitchen and helped Mother Lin bring out several plates of dishes. The 3 of them sat together and started eating. He talked about today's interesting things and wished Lin Zi another year older. During the whole process, Lin Zi didn't say a word or move a chopstick. Father Lin and Mother Lin asked, "Why are you unhappy? Did something happen outside?" Lin Zi forced out a smile and shook his head at the 2 of them. He spoke for the first time. "It's okay, I just want to see you 2 one last time. 18 years is a long time. The next tens of millions of years will be even longer. In the long years, what is eternal will be the past and forgetfulness. I'm afraid that after leaving the illusion, I won't be able to remember." Lin Zi knew from the beginning that this was the illusion of Daoji Mountain. After all, Lin Zi is different from others. What others hide deep in their hearts are ulterior secrets, but what Lin Zi hides. It was never the 9 sects of the Qing domain. It's not some aspirational heaven-level technique. It's not even about long-term vision. What he hides deepest in his heart has always been travel through reincarnation. This is a top secret that Lin Zi has never told anyone since his memory awakened. This is the only one in Tianlin continent. So as soon as the time travel reincarnation came out, Lin Zi knew it would be fake. But even if it was fake, Lin Zi was willing to stop for the sake of the temporary fakeness at this moment. He looked deeply at Father Lin and Mother Lin. Father Lin and Mother Lin seemed to understand something at this moment. They laughed. Everything is destroyed. The familiar earth is destroyed in chaos. Daoji Mountain top. Lin Zi finally stopped. The 9 supreme beings were filled with doubts. Although level 800 is difficult, with his performance, he won't be unable to take a step forward, right? The difficulty of the Daoji Mountain trials does not increase suddenly, but gradually, invisibly eating away at people's will and soul step by step. If someone can't hold on anymore, it's also a sign of going from fast to slow, not like Lin Zi who can't even take a step. Then there's only one possibility. Quote. It seems that the deepest secret in his heart makes him willing to stand still for it even though he knows it is false. Hey, who doesn't have a dream that they don't want to wake up from? Young, so good. Quote. The 9 beings said that they noticed another special case. At the bottom of the ladder, there is a person chasing after you. Judging from his appearance, just like Lin Zi, he was not trapped by the illusion of the ladder at all. Another good young man with an extremely strong will. However, when the 9 people took a closer look, they found that it was not what they thought. Quote. Jia Qi was avoided. Every step he takes is at the weakest point of the ladder. No, it's because the calamity energy is suddenly disordered. Even the robbery wind in the mountains is following his footsteps. He controls Daoji Mountain. Quote. No, I didn't sense any energy fluctuations or weird atmosphere. Rather than saying that he controls Daoji Mountain, it's better to say that Daoji Mountain is helping him. Quote. The 9 people looked at each other. As the 9 giant masters of Qingyu, what scene have they not seen before? But the current situation is difficult to explain even with their knowledge. There is no energy, no breath fluctuations, and no spiritual will control, but it can make the chaos of the robbery energy dissipate for no reason, and it can also make the robbery wind obey his pace. This method, it really seemed like even Dao Jiashan was taking the initiative to help him. But Dao Jiashan helped him. Is it possible? Daoji Mountain is the greatest secret left by the Supreme Saint who created Qingyu, Qingsheng. Since Qingsheng left, no one has been able to crack and control Daoji Mountain. Even half-Saint Qinghe, the great-great-grandson of Qing Saint, could only control Daoji Mountain a little by relying on the power of his bloodline. Others want to control Daoji Mountain. Wishful thinking. The 9 people were confused. At this time, the being named Lao Zhang among them suddenly thought of a legendary possibility after pondering for a moment. Could it be? What is it? Lao Zhang frowned and said, I'm not sure yet. Let's see how he performs next. While talking, Lin Zi finally took steps again. This time, he didn't stop. He didn't give the lazy young man the slightest chance. With an undisputed performance, he passed the entire ladder at almost flying speed, winning first place without any doubt. Lin Zi reaches the end of the ladder. The Heavenly Sword Emperor, who had been secretly observing everyone, was responsible for recording and presiding over the overall situation, and appeared next to Lin Zi. He looked at Lin Zi with a very strange expression. As the Tianyuan Emperor, it was his first time to participate in the Daoji Mountain trial. But Daoji Mountain is the holy land of the 9 sects of Qingyu. As a disciple of the 9 sects, Tianjian Emperor has naturally heard a lot of detailed information about Daoji Mountain. He even has a fellow disciple who is one of the top 10 who came out of Daoji Mountain seats. The Heavenly Sword Emperor knows all about the Daoji Mountain trial. Since the opening of the ancient ladder to the first level of the Tribulation Mountain trial, there have been only 13 people in the entire Qingyu who have been able to complete the entire journey of the ladder. Moreover, these 13 people had an extremely difficult journey. At least in the last 1 or 200 levels, they struggled and hesitated and wandered on the ladder for a long time. Is there anyone like this person in front of me? There was a slight pause at the last 200 levels, and then, as if ignoring the illusion of the ladder, he climbed directly to the end of the ladder. This is simply not taking the ladder seriously at all. Just like playing. If the Heavenly Sword Emperor hadn't been secretly testing and observing, he would have thought that Daoji Mountain's tribulation energy had failed. Are there really people with such perseverance in this world who are as strong as stone? With such a sigh, the Heavenly Sword Emperor announced Lin Zi's final result. If you pass the first trial, the number of steps is 999, and you will be rewarded with 1000 threads of Dao Tribulation Qi. For completing the entire journey of the ladder, additional calamity energy will be awarded based on time. First place's time. The Heavenly Sword Emperor glanced at Lin Zi again. How outrageous. The fastest time in the history of completing the Daoji Mountain is only 359 Siji Qi, right? And the person in front of me. 57 strands of tribulation energy, and then 943 strands of tribulation energy. After saying that, Lin Zi's immortal fate order was once again filled with huge calamity energy. The number above changed from 992 to 2935. This huge influx of numbers directly brought Lin Zi from 9th place to absolute first place, widening a terrifying gap with others. After all, the fastest one has only reached halfway up the mountain, and the ladder gets slower as it reaches the back. Even if they have the ability to reach the top, hundreds of tribulations have passed by the time they arrive. The gap between this and Lin Zi is not huge. So at this moment, even the Heavenly Sword Emperor, who was always business-oriented and didn't like to talk too much, took the initiative to speak out. Congratulations, first place. The Heavenly Sword Emperor is not a person who does not understand the world. He reacted indifferently to other people just because those people were not even passers-by in his long life, and they were not people of the same world at all. And Lin Zi. In the eyes of the Heavenly Sword Emperor, Lin Zi already belongs to the same class and world as them. After all, the previous person who walked the entire ladder to heaven and maintained the historical record of Daoji Mountain has become the master of the 9 sects who dominate the ups and downs of Qingyu. This new record in front of us. As long as his talent and understanding are not bad, he will definitely become a leader of the 9 sects in the future. As for talent and understanding, can a winner who can emerge from a world of heroes be an ordinary person? Therefore, in the eyes of the Heavenly Sword Emperor, Lin Zi, who was so dazzling, had the extremely eye-catching label of 9 Sect Master automatically engraved on his body. Thank you, Senior Tianjian Emperor. The Heavenly Sword Emperor smiled and shook his head. It's better to leave out the word senior. Next, maybe I will call you uncle, or even master. The implication of the Heavenly Sword Emperor's words was naturally that Lin Zi became a disciple of the 9 Sect Masters, or directly became the heir to the half-saint. By then, Lin Zi's status will be at the top of the 9 sects. I am Shui Zhanqing, an authentic Tianyuan, with the title of Heavenly Sword Emperor. I'm Lin's King Shenwu of Baikan. Heavenly Sword Emperor Shui Jianqing raised his eyebrows. It's just a small ordinary country, and Grandpa Lin is the emperor there. That's not what Shui meant. It's just that the name Baiken sounds a bit familiar. Shui Jianqing asked again. The Baiken you are talking about is the Wabwang realm, the Baiken dynasty under the command of Zhangjian Mountain. Lin Zi was surprised. A big shot like the Heavenly Sword Emperor only knew about the hidden sword mountain in the Wabwang realm. He actually knew that there was a mortal country under the hidden sword mountain called Baiken. Is Baiken, a country that was founded only a few decades ago, so famous? Sword Emperor knows. Shui Jianqing smiled. It's actually true. Xianyuan. This word fate is really wonderful. How do I say this? Shui Jianqing said. Shui has an incompetent junior brother. A few years ago, he just accepted a young apprentice from Wabwang realm. This young apprentice is from the Wuan dynasty in Kangjian Mountain. Like you, he also has some royal blood from the Wuan dynasty. But later I heard that Wuan dynasty was destroyed by rebels and split into Baiken and Langdu. It was from him that Shui heard the name Baiken dynasty. After that, Shui Jianqing continued, but don't worry, little brother, although the young apprentice has the blood of the Wuan royal family, he is not close to the Wuan dynasty and has long since severed all ties. So after hearing the news, he didn't rush back to help. The bloodline of the Wuan royal family. This sensitive word immediately made Lin Zi squint his eyes. Oh, the Wabwang realm is thousands of miles away from the 9 sects, and he is in the immortal sect regardless of the mortal world. How did he hear about it? Shui Jianqing thought for a while. I heard that it seems that a distant relative in Langdu wrote to him for help. Distant relatives in Wolf City ask for help. Lin Zi immediately realized something. If Brother Lin is interested, I will ask my junior apprentice to come see you later. Thank you, Sword Emperor. You're welcome. After saying that, the Heavenly Sword Emperor glanced at the people on the ladder. At this time, the lazy boy who once ranked first has surpassed the others and returned to the first place. Seeing this, the Heavenly Sword Emperor was a little surprised. This class is really capable of producing many talented people. After saying that, the Heavenly Sword Emperor said to Lin Zi, Brother Lin, as a brother, I will also preside over the Daoji Mountain Grand Examination. When this matter is over, you and I will talk about it again. After saying that, the figure of the Heavenly Sword Emperor disappeared. Lin Zi looked at the void where the Heavenly Sword Emperor left, his eyes sparkling. Wolf City. Lin Zi originally thought that since the blood sacrifice in Langdu, the Wuan royal family would no longer exist in this world, and everything in the past would be submerged in the blood sacrifice and disappear into the sea. But now, Lin Zi heard news about Langdu again in the 9 sects. And judging from the information revealed by the Heavenly Sword Emperor, there seems to be some connection between that person and Langdu. This can't help but shed new light on some facts that have been finalized. Lin Zi used to think that Peng Yang, a conquered king who was stolen by Baiken, could join the Shanman because he relied on the demon cult. But now think about it carefully. Peng Yang suddenly died within a few years of establishing Wolf Capital. The time when the demon cult actually appeared and took action was 20 years after Peng Yang's sudden death. With the demon sect's temperament, I'm afraid they won't be able to wait as long as 20 years. It seems that the immortal sect that Peng Yang relied on at that time may not be the demon sect, but the young apprentice of his junior brother that Shui Jianqing said. That being said, Lin Zi's eyes flashed slightly. Things between him and Langdu are not over yet. Lin Zi's figure stood tall at the end of the ladder. On the ladder to heaven. I saw Lin Zi's lonely figure standing proudly at the end of the ladder. The fat Taoist boy and the red-haired boy looked at each other and then silently stopped talking. When the lazy Qing Yi saw Lin Zi climbing to the top without any resistance, he was just slightly surprised, and the interest in his eyes became more intense. Climb to the top. Ha ha ha. Interesting, really interesting. After so many years, you are still the first person who can at least defeat me in some aspects. The young man in Xing Yi stood up straight, as if he had suddenly found a goal to strive for, or found an interesting toy. Finally got serious. His face glowed with radiance and fierce competition. Very good. I'm looking forward to your performance in the second game. After saying that, the young man in green glanced at the people behind him, then casually pressed the immortal fate token and disappeared on the ladder to heaven. This also means that the young man in Xingyi who hopes to be the second person to climb to the top voluntarily gives up the rare opportunity to climb the ladder and voluntarily stops here. Because for him, everything always comes first. If the first one is taken away, then there is no point in continuing this matter. Moreover, for him, he can only think or not want anything in this world, there is no ability or inability. The Daoji Mountain Trial, which outsiders regard as more important than life, in his eyes, is nothing more than that. The young man in green disappeared on the ladder and was teleported to the end of the ladder. Seeing this, the Heavenly Sword Emperor and the 9 beings on the mountain were stunned for a moment. He actually gave up the ladder on his own initiative. What's going on with this kid? It doesn't look like I can't go on. Everyone was puzzled. Only the being known as Lao Zhang glanced thoughtfully at the young man in green. His eyes touched. Could it be on the ladder to heaven? As the strongest person in this trial, Lord Kurong witnessed Lin Zi's rapid climb to the top and also saw the casualness of the young man in green. He smiled and shook his head. These young people. Oh, it's old, it's old. Lord Kurong said that he had also reached the end of his ability. Level 593. He pressed the Immortal Fate order and appeared at the end of the ladder. At this time, Tianjian Emperor Shui Jianqing was announcing the record results for the youth in Xingyi. Reward 816 threads of calamity energy. The young man in green ignored Shui Jianqing, the noble Tianyuan Emperor. At this time, he only had Lin Zi in his eyes. Shui Jianqing frowned slightly. He doesn't like people who are proud of their talents. This kind of person is difficult to deal with and very annoying. Especially since he himself is a Tianyuan emperor who stands at the top of Qingyu. Even the sons and daughters of the major sects were not so arrogant in their indifference to Emperor Tianyuan. In so many years, this is the first time Shui Jianqing has encountered such a person who does not know how to respect the emperor. Glancing lightly at the young man in green, Shui Jianqing inevitably had a cold light in his eyes. But this cold light just appeared. Shui Jianqing suddenly felt an inexplicable terror coming around him. This world is so long, and there seems to be an unspeakable feeling of repulsion and squeezing coming from the eternal world. It is abandoning Shui Jianqing. The world in Shui Jianqing's eyes turned gray. At the same time, the Tianyuan in Shui Jianqing's body also felt an inexplicable throbbing. Under this throbbing, his spiritual body actually produced a disharmonious error cycle and began to go berserk. The anger goes astray, the sword goes astray. And caused all this. Just because Shui Jianqing was slightly angry at the young man in green. With just a hint of anger, he, the majestic Tianyuan emperor, was abandoned by heaven and earth, and Ling Yuan went berserk. Shui Jianqing couldn't understand what kind of power this was. This kind of pressure that cannot be described in words. This feeling of helplessness and abandonment. How despairing. Shui Jianqing quickly put away all the emotions in his heart. He looked away from the young man in green. The terrifying feeling of abandonment finally disappeared, and the violent spiritual energy in his body slowly returned to calm. Shui Jianqing was shocked. The person in front of me can never be as simple as an ordinary trialist. Who is he? At this time, the young man in green finally spoke to Lin Zi. You won this time, but I will take it seriously next time. So, I hope you won't be careless. Keep the momentum going. Lin Zi glanced at the man in front of him speechlessly. Yes, he has triggered the plot of the protagonist. The man in front of me is obviously a proud man who has never lost. According to the general routine, next, the favored man of heaven will confront him tit for tat, and then start a classic plot beating the young one and the old one. The old ones are no match for the ancestors. One link after another, one set after another. Neuropathy. Lin Zi didn't want to pay attention to him. But the young man in Xingyi was even more interested. Don't say anything. Oh well, my name is Hongtian, and I am your biggest enemy in the second trial. Just remember it. After saying that, Hongtian walked aside and waited impatiently. And prompted by Hongtian's impatient thoughts. In Daoji Mountain, time seems to have shifted slightly. At the foot of the mountain, those 1,000 strands of tribulation energy were burning faster and silently. No one noticed. Apart from The 3,000 feet of gray hair that imprisoned the semi-saint had some ripples. It ripples in the void. The half-saint who had been sleeping finally opened his eyes. The half-saint opened his eyes. The whole world seemed to change from night to day, dispelling the darkness in Daoji Mountain. Buzz. The ripples in the void are becoming more and more turbulent. Bang, bang, bang. Those 3,000 feet of gray hair finally shook off their gray rust amid the turmoil, revealing their true form. That is a divine chain formed by the laws of heaven and earth. They have always been afraid of and restrained this existence. I'm afraid that he will rise up and cause this world to suffer a weight that life cannot bear. The trembling sound of the chains was heard, and the other 9 people knew that the half-saint finally saw the seedling that he had expected during the trial, and the true spirit woke up from dormancy. Ancestor. Half-saint. Half-saint Qinghei's ancient eyes that had gone through many vicissitudes of time fell directly on the man who called himself Hongtian. He looked at it for a long time. After a long while, he glanced at Lindsay again. The Tao injury in his body hurts faintly. Under the gaze of the semi-saint. Everything is gone. But he didn't say anything. Just kept looking, eyes slightly closed, waiting for the passage of time. When the others saw this, they did not dare to disturb the semi-saint. The top of Daoji Mountain became quiet like this, and the silence passed with time. Soon, while everyone on the ladder was struggling and waiting, 1,000 strands of calamity energy were burned out. All those who were still struggling on the ladder were forcibly taken out of the illusion and teleported to the end of the ladder. Many people were stunned. Finished. So fast. I should have at least 200 silks of time left in my perception, right? Could it be that the illusion affects our perception? Or is this still in an illusion? Fake. It's all fake. How can a mere illusion mess with my mind? There was a lot of discussion among the people who had not completed the ladder. There are also a few people who forcibly set foot in higher classes. It is obvious that their minds have been affected, and they talk nonsense and cannot calm down for a long time. The red-haired boy and the fat Taoist boy stayed there calmly, waiting for the next trial to begin. In the second half of this ancient ladder, if you can't go up, you can't go up. Not to mention the burning time of 1,000 strands of calamity energy. Even if I give you another 2,000 strands, it will be difficult to take another step. Instead of thinking about the past ladder trials, it is better to think about how to deal with it next. At this time, Luo Wuchen arrived beside the red-haired boy. His eyes were a little complicated and slightly confused. Just now, why did you help me? Luo Wuchen knew very well that if the red-haired boy hadn't secretly helped him just now, he would have stopped at the beginning of the ladder, and there would be no chance of further progress. But this mountain tribulation trial was a cruel and bloody battle between you and me, for no reason. Why did the red-haired boy help him? Isn't this capitalizing on the enemy? Luo Wuchen didn't understand. Seeing this, the red-haired boy smiled. He didn't show off and said directly, because you are from the Skilling clan. Luo Wuchen was horrified in his heart. The bloodline of the Red Spirit clan was his biggest secret. Apart from his 2 masters, Luo Wuchen had never told anyone else. In the experience of fighting against enemies, Luo Wuchen would never easily reveal his true form as a red spirit unless he was forced into a desperate situation. And those enemies who forced him into a desperate situation and saw his true form of red spirit have long been turned into ashes of purgatory. How did this red-haired boy find out? Luo Wuchen subconsciously stayed away from the red-haired boy. In this Tianlin continent with thousands of races, blood and physique are extremely precious. If everyone in the world learns of the existence of its master, they will all want to make it into medicine and feed on blood. By stealing it, they can gain some mysteries of his bloodline and physique. Especially the bloodline of the Skilling clan, a high-level bloodline that is ranked among all races and is famous. It is a popular item that is coveted by everyone. Therefore, this Red Spirit clan bloodline is Luo Wuchen's trump card talent, but it is also the root of the original sin of a man who is not guilty of harboring a treasure. He had to guard against it. Seeing Luo Wuchen's reaction, the red-haired boy was helpless. Don't be so nervous. From a relationship point of view, you still have to call me third uncle. Well, that should be true. Our Skilling tribe has always practiced intermarriage within the tribe, and the newborns have perfect blood spirits. An unawakened half-blood spirit like you can only be caused by my incompetent little nephew. 3. Third uncle. Luo Wuchen understood. Are you also from the Red Spirit clan? The red-haired boy nodded. Otherwise, I wouldn't be so free, and I would kindly introduce the Daoji Mountain ladder to a little guy in the 1 Yuan realm I don't know. When this Daoji Mountain incident is over, come back to the clan with me and recognize your ancestors. By the way, you can awaken your natal blood spirit. When the time comes, you won't have to hide him. The Red Spirit tribe still has some power in this Qingyu. Hearing this, Luo Wuchen was speechless for a moment, and he didn't know what it was like for a while. The red-haired boy then asked, speaking of which, you seem to have a close relationship with that person. Following the red-haired boy's gaze, Luo Wuchen saw Lindsay standing proudly like an eternal green pine. You kid, you can actually recognize this monster that ranks first in the Daoji Mountain trial. Luo Wuchen scratched his head. This is not very relevant. It's just that my second master knows him. I don't know much. Oh, tell me. The red-haired boy became interested. Luo Wuchen said, that's it. He leaned into the red-haired boy's ear and told all the news he knew about Lin Zi. After listening to Luo Wuchen's words, the red-haired boy frowned. He shook his head in denial. Not too possible. Although it is said that the saint has thousands of incarnations and one thought lasts forever, everyone we meet may be an incarnation of the saint. But this is just an impossibility. The actual possibility is not even a majority. Especially in a place like our Qingyu, where a saint has not been seen for hundreds of millions of years. What do you think he will be? Luo Wuchen didn't know the vision and knowledge of the upper-class people. Anyway, from their perspective, they could only guess that Lin Zi was the incarnation of a saint. Quote. The red-haired boy said nothing. He frowned and looked at Lin Zi, sometimes lowering his head, sometimes raising his head, and was speechless for a long time. At this time, the fat Taoist boy beside him suddenly said 4 words. Ethereal immortal body. As soon as these words came out, the red-haired boy's pupils suddenly shrank. Ethereal, immortal body. Quote. The red-haired boy and the fat Taoist boy looked at each other, and infinite waves surged in their eyes. He said nothing for a long time. In the distance, Venerable Ku Rong, who had been stroking his beard, also paused. Given his level of cultivation and his careful attention, the words spoken by the red-haired boy and the outstanding performers could not escape his ears. But he preferred not to hear it. Ethereal immortal body. The old man is already old, but he can't stand this kind of torment. Quote. Luo Wuchen didn't understand the two people's reactions. What is the ethereal immortal body? It took the red-haired boy a long time to calm down, and he secretly looked at Lin Zi a few times. There is mystery in the Great Road, and there is destiny in heaven and earth. In this world, there are always some innate mysteries of creation that are superior to all things in the world. The physique and bloodline represented by the ethereal immortal body is one of them. Besides the bloodline of our Tianlin 10,000 clan, there are also a number of miracles of the great Tao that cannot be replicated by nature. They are called 33 emperor bodies, 17 saint bodies, and 9 immortal bodies. Among them, the existence of the 33 imperial bodies already requires the top 100 top ancient divine veins among all races to be comparable. As for the 17th holy body, if it can use this holy word, you will know what its existence represents. As for the 9 immortal body, a trace of deep fear and shock flashed in the red-haired boy's eyes. That's a big joke that Chuangshidao is playing on the world. Seeing the red-haired boy speaking so seriously, Luo Wuchen couldn't help but be secretly shocked. Just listen to what he continued. There is only one person in a generation with the 9 immortal bodies of the great Tao. Others can't take it, steal it, or touch it. Upon hearing this, Luo Wuchen's heart trembled. What this means is, that means, the red-haired boy said in a deep tone, take the ethereal immortal body as an example. Once the ethereal immortal body appears, until the owner of this generation of ethereal immortal body dies, the next ethereal immortal body will not be born. If the ethereal immortal body never dies, then no new ethereal immortal body will be born in the future. Even his descendants will not be able to inherit any of the power of the immortal body. And those who want to steal the ethereal immortal body are destined to be in vain. After saying that, the red-haired boy sighed helplessly. Like other bloodlines of ours, it is possible for powerful people to use heaven-reaching means to refine blood medicine and steal it, but the origin of the ethereal immortal body has a destined cause and effect. It cannot be stolen or seized. Except for the original owner recognized by it, no one else can take it, let alone touch it. Those who try to contaminate the ethereal immortal body will surely suffer the backlash of cause and effect, and will be punished by the great Tao. In other words, others can only envy the existence of the nine immortals' body, but cannot make any decisions. And this is the most domineering part of the nine immortal physiques. Hearing this, Luo Wuchen took a deep breath. No one else can even touch or think about the nine great immortal bodies. The thing is so overbearing. At this time, the red-haired boy said again, this is just a manifestation of the immortal body's domineering power. Its true power, you will know it just by looking at this person. 18 years old, half a step into the divine sea. This is impossible for other people, but it is very easy for the ethereal immortal body. Because the power of the ethereal immortal body is the emptiness of the avenue and the transparency of the heart of heaven. People with ethereal immortal bodies are born with no bottlenecks in their realm. He doesn't need to understand the laws, let alone the so-called Tao. He just needs to continue to accumulate spiritual power and accumulate foundation. As long as the spiritual power is enough, the state will be reached. The red-haired boy thought again. If I have to describe it in detail, it is that the ethereal immortal body is born to be an invincible person who stands at the top of the monks and at the end of the road. It's just that he has lost all his spiritual power and is recovering. After listening to the red-haired boy's description of the ethereal immortal body, Luo Wuchen took a breath of cold air. This is too outrageous. He glanced at Lin Zi, his eyes filled with indescribable horror. I should have known he wouldn't ask. This outrageous thing called the ethereal immortal body. It is better to imagine that he is the incarnation of the saint. Quote. Wait a minute. Luo Wuchen suddenly thought again, you said that there is only one of the nine immortal bodies in a generation. Shouldn't an existence like the ethereal immortal body survive the destruction of heaven and earth? Will such an existence fall and give birth to a second one? You might as well guess that it's the incarnation of a saint. The red-haired boy shook his head. The nine great immortal physiques are indeed ancient and unparalleled things that only exist in legends. But as I said before about the incarnation of the saint, there has not been a saint in Qingyu for 100 million years. Inside here, the fat Taoist boy took over. It is impossible for the incarnation of a saint to exist in Qingyu. This is not to say that my Qingyu is weak and the environment of heaven and earth does not support it. On the contrary, my Qingyu is among the best among the Tianlin realms. It is located in the center and has strong strength. As for why there are no saints, I can't explain the reason for a while. You will understand it when you enter the 9 sects or return to the Red Spirit clan. Luo Wuchen seemed to understand. He glanced at Lin Zi again, then doesn't this mean? Luo Wuchen took a breath of cold air. I can't think of any other possibility. After saying this, the fat Taoist boy and the red-haired boy fell silent. At the same time, Daoji Mountain Top, the 9 supreme beings were also silent for a long time. Sometimes their eyes wandered, sometimes they looked at each other, and sometimes they looked at the semi-saint in the center. The half-saint's eyes were still slightly closed, and there was neither wind nor rain, and he did not say a word. It was hard to see through and understand what the old man was thinking at this moment. Seeing this, the few of them could only look at each other for a moment and said, let's take a look. The figure of Heavenly Sword Emperor Shui Jianqing appeared in a forest of steles at the end of the ladder to heaven. The forest of steles was shrouded in mist, and only a few outlines of the forest were vaguely visible. Shui Jianqing let out a harsh sword cry again. Second trial. Ancient monument. In this forest of steles before you, there are 9 ancient techniques buried in it. They exist in the form of fragments in every ancient monument. What you have to do is piece together and comprehend the complete ancient techniques from these ancient monuments. Whoever comprehends more and more complete techniques within the specified time will gain more calamity energy. After that, Shui Jianqing waved his hand and dispersed the fog in the forest of steles, revealing the true form of the forest of steles. As far as the eye can see, ancient stone tablets are buried in the dark earth. They are broken and damaged. There were scattered stones everywhere on the ground. It's full of dilapidation and desolation. Whoosh! A trace of calamity energy flew around and condensed into a burning fireball again. This trial lasts for 5,000 tribulations. How much you can realize depends on your destiny. After saying that, Shui Zhanqing glanced at Lin Zi and Hongtian. Then, his figure disappeared again. The second trial begins immediately. As soon as he finished speaking, the young man in green named Hongtian appeared instantly in the forest of Stells. At the same time, a sentence reached Lin Zi's ears with the rhythm of the wind. I won't let you go this time. Looking forward to your performance. Quote. Lin Zi glanced at Hongtian with a playful expression. Just better than others, but then understanding. You may not know whose home stadium this is. The forest of Stells that hides ancient martial arts is a different kind of library. No one knows the library better than Lin Zi. Thinking about this, Lin Zi entered the forest of Stells with great expectations. The 9 ancient techniques in Daoji Mountain must be at the earth level at last. Enter the forest of Stells. Lin Zi's God level comprehension level 4 is automatically activated. You have discovered fragments of a local mid-level skill, the Long River Sunset Sword Technique. You discovered a fragment of a local mid-level skill called Taizan Shanggong. You found fragments of a local mid-level skill, the Rising Moon on the Sea. You discovered a fragment of a local mid-level skill, Yin Yang Zan Bian. You discovered Little 5 Elements True Secret. At this moment, no more words are needed. Lin Zi was immersed in the forest of Stells. There were only 2 words left in his mind. Take off. Chapter 71. Thank you for the gift of nature. Relying on the guidance of his God-level understanding, Lin Zi immediately pieced together the complete technique in the forest of Stells. After pondering for a moment, others also discovered the mystery of this forest of Stells. Each of them exclaimed, this is actually an earth-level mid-level skill. The 9 sects of Qingyu are indeed rich and powerful. Intermediate level earth level, this is an inheritance that even the major realm masters regard as a treasure. It cannot be practiced unless it is the core of the true inheritance. The 9 sects of Qingyu actually threw it directly in the Daoji Mountain, allowing the testers to observe it at will. Tisk, 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 that's not all. Look at this fragment, the Chang Sunset Sword Technique. It was born out of the Chang Sword Sect's core skill, the Chang Sunset Yuan. Its grade is already infinitely close to the top grade of the prefecture level. The Chang Sunset Sword Technique is like this, and the other 8 sects are probably similar. They are all the best among the prefecture level mid-level swordsmen. Hiss. The 9 sects of Qingyu are the 9th sects of Qingyu after all. Don't waste time. Enlightenment quickly. There are not many opportunities like this. Quote. After discovering the essence of these 9 ancient skills, everyone tightened their grip and plunged into the forest of Stells, throwing away all the distracting thoughts in their minds. They just wanted to understand these top skills as soon as possible. For a moment, the forest of Stells fell into a dead silence. Only the constant sound of rubbing proved their existence. In front of a large stone monument, Hongtian closed his eyes and quietly felt the rhythm between heaven and earth, accepting the guidance of heaven and earth. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew by, lifting up the corners of several fragments of gravel. Hongtian's lips curled up. I found the Taishuan divine art. After that, Hongtian quickly wrote down the contents on the fragments of gravel and pieced them together into a complete Taishuan divine art. Then, he sat down cross-legged, preparing to fully comprehend the Taishuan divine art. Before that, Hongtian glanced at Lin Zi. This time, you can't be faster than me. After saying that, Hongtian closed his 5 senses. Around him, traces of mysterious energy slowly rose, creating the best environment for him to comprehend. At this time, Lin Zi had gathered all the fragments of the 9 techniques. Understand, start, you read, the Sunset Sword Technique on the Long River. With your terrifying understanding that is almost Taoist, the Long River Sunset Sword Technique has been completely broken by you and has been deduced to the 10th level. LV10 of the Long River Sunset Sword Technique, Great Perfection. You have comprehended a local level mid-level technique, and you have the power of God-level understanding. God-level understanding LV4, 110 10,000ths. You read, Taizan Shanggong. After some realization, Lindsay learned all the 9 major techniques in the Forest of Stells. At the same time, his talent progress has also increased by a full 900 points. God level understanding LV4, 910 10,000ths. He raised his head again and took a look at the burning time of the tribulation energy. Juicy has just been burned. Juicy. This level of understanding is over before it even begins. And with the arrival of these 9 Earth level middle level skills, Lindsay seemed to have seen the birth of the fusion of high level Earth level skills. After passing this trial and handing in the papers, Lindsay can start the fusion and officially break through to a higher realm. But this is obviously not the time to hand in papers. The duration of the 9 Silk Tribulation Chi is so shocking that it is beyond the scope of human understanding. Even if Lindsay wanted to express himself, he couldn't do it in this way. He meditated and waited on the spot, taking a look at other people's performance and estimating their approximate results based on their time. Quote. Time goes by little. After 100 tribulations, Hongtian woke up. He glanced at the time first, and then said to himself, 100 silks. I have gained some understanding, and it is enough to be able to cope with the trial. Hongtian nodded with satisfaction. Then he glanced at Lindsay. Seeing that Lindsay was still meditating and not waking up, Hongtian's lips curved into a slight smile. But at the same time, he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Are you nothing more than that? Well, the road ahead is long and there is no opponent. This world is so lonely. Sighing slightly, Hongtian closed his eyes and continued to follow the rhythm of heaven and earth, looking for the second technique. After a while, Hongtian found the second skill. He sat cross-legged and was about to continue studying the second part. At this time, he looked at Lindsay again. When he found that Lindsay was still comprehending and had not woken up, Hongtian couldn't help but feel a sense of boredom. He understood these techniques just to compete with Lindsay. Now with Lindsay's performance, even if he was using the mid-level Earth level skills, Hongtian had no motivation. Boring. Very boring. Well, just when Hongtian lamented that it was boring, Lindsay woke up. Oh, wake up. The corners of Hongtian's mouth raised slightly. Lindsay had some realization, which was even happier than him realizing it himself. He looked at the time again, and it was only 10 seconds since he woke up. Very good. This is still fun. Hongtian was happy. However unexpected. The next moment, Lindsay stood up and walked towards the testing stone at the end of the Forest of Stells. This also means that Lindsay has chosen to test the progress of comprehension and to end this trial. Quote. This moment, Hongtian's joy was gone. He froze. Shui Jianqing in the dark and everyone on the mountaintop were also stunned. I saw Lindsay put his hands on the tall black detection stone, and fierce spiritual power was instantly injected. Buzz. A wave of water rippled in the mountain. A long and surging river from the sky flows to the land of sunset. A red sun shines brightly over the long river. This is exactly the image of the long river sunset sword technique. Mountain top. The leader of the Chang sword sect narrowed his eyes. The setting sun on the long river, it only lasts for more than 100 tribulations, but this quality has already surpassed many beginners and is about to reach the level of proficiency. It seems that his compatibility with the Chang sunset sword art is very high. This sun should be destined to our Chang sword sect. The others twitched their lips. What a fart. They just happened to choose the long river sunset sword technique. A few people haven't spoken yet. Then, the sunset over the long river disappeared. A vast ocean ebbs and flows in the night. A bright moon rises slowly from the horizon. The moon rises over the sea. The head of the Crescent Palace sat up straight. She couldn't believe it. The moon rises over the sea. In just over 100 seconds, he actually mastered 2 techniques. Quote. The Lord of Xinyue Palace was shocked, and Hongtian below was also stunned and speechless. 2 doors. He glanced at the time again to confirm. He wasn't distracted, he had just passed the 10th mark. In these 10 silks, how come he has mastered 2 techniques? I just realized something. Quote. This is not the end. After the vision of a bright moon rising over the sea, one black and one white, 2 yin and yang energies intertwined in the void, interpreting the changes of yin and yang in the heaven and earth. This is the image of the mysterious changes in yin and yang. Yin yang zan bian. At this time, even the taciturn master of the Yin-Yang Zan sect couldn't bear it anymore. He suddenly stood up. His Yin-Yang Taoism is the great road of yin and yang, of heaven and earth. Yin and yang, heaven and earth, light and darkness, life and death. Yin and yang represent the two poles of heaven and earth. Therefore, among the 9 sects, his Yin-Yang Xuanmen skills have the highest threshold and the strictest requirements for understanding and talent. In all the Daoji mountain trials, the number of times that Yin-Yang Zan Bian has been understood has always been the 9th lowest. The number of times that he has realized can be counted on 2 hands. And these rare geniuses who understand the mysterious changes of yin and yang are often ignorant. Because of the high requirements of Yin-Yang Zan Bian, they have enough time and mental effort to understand Yin-Yang Zan Bian, which is enough to master at least 2 other techniques. The gain outweighs the loss. The harshness of the mysterious changes in yin and yang is evident. Now, the person in front of me not only comprehended the profound changes of yin and yang in a short period of time, but also comprehended the sunset sword art on the long river and the rising moon on the sea at the same time. Quote. The leader of the Yin-Yang sect was quite unbelievable, genius. Strange. Quote. 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 Before he finished speaking, the Yin-Yang sect master's face suddenly froze again. Check the stone. The 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire and earth replace the 2 qi of yin and yang, interpreting the wonder of the creation of the 5 elements. Quote. Little 5 elements true secret. 4th door. Quote. 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 Several people looked at each other speechlessly. Even Hongtian, who had always been mysterious and extraordinary, was stunned and speechless for a long time. Others had already been alarmed by Lin Zi's detection image. They looked at Lin Zi as if they were looking at a monster, a terrifying god and demon. Hiss, how long has it been? I haven't even understood 1 skill yet, and this one has already mastered 4. Is that human being? Obviously not. Quote. Quote. Silence, nothing but silence is still silence. At this moment, everyone was speechless. The world is quiet, only Lin Zi's image was left rising between heaven and earth, shining with endless brilliance. After a moment, the image of the little 5 elements true art disappeared. The light on the detection stone gradually returned to calm. Seeing this, everyone let out a long sigh of relief. It is finally over. Don't come again. You are so scary. However, this breath was not over yet. The next moment, a brilliant light rose from the detection stone again. Taishuan is graceful, and the Tao is everywhere in the world. He. The 5th door. Quote. Quote. Everyone was stunned, looking in a trance, as if they were dreaming. Even if he is a rare genius in Qingyu, he can't be like this, right? At the top of the mountain, the 9 great sages of the world also twitched their faces with expressions of disbelief. It's 5 doors. If we look at it like this, I'm afraid. Judging from the fact that Lin Zi finished his comprehension early and showed such amazing results, he may have already comprehended all the 9 techniques in the Forest of Stells. As expected, after the image of Taishuan magical technique, the 6th martial art is revealed for the first time. Quote. 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 There was total silence. The 7th door, the 8th door, and the 9th door appear one after another. At this point, the dust of Lin Zi's 2nd trial has settled. All 9 doors are complete. Quote. Quote. On top of the mountain, the 9 great sages were silent for a long time. It took a long time for someone to say, it seems that the characteristic of the ethereal immortal body is not understanding, right? Quote. Oh, ethereal immortal physique. I believe him even if he says he is a 10,000 magical immortal physique. The 10,000 Dharma immortal body is one of the 9 immortal bodies of the Great Tao. It is famous for its knowledge of all kinds of Dharma. Legend has it that a person with the immortal body of 10,000 Dharmas has an understanding close to that of Tao and knows all the laws of heaven and earth. The immortal body of 10,000 Dharmas, looking at the sky and the earth, all have enlightenment. Be specific. People who possess the 10,000 magic immortal body can see the changes in the laws of the sky even if they are bored, and thus understand the great way of the sky. Even by digging some dirt, he can understand the mysteries of the earth and reach the top of the mountain. Even if he just drinks water, he can learn a unique secret from the ordinary action of drinking water. The owner of the immortal body of 10,000 laws does not need Dharma, he himself is the incarnation of Dharma. Every word, every action, every move has great power. Magic skills, just raise your hand. More than a little perverted. And isn't the performance of Lindsay's understanding in front of him similar to the description of the legendary 10,000 magic immortal body? Quote. Then how do you explain his 18-year-old half-step to the divine sea realm? There is no realm bottleneck. This is the power of the ethereal immortal body. Quote. Do you think there is a possibility that two immortal bodies will appear in one person at the same time? Several people looked at him strangely. Forget it. Quote. There was another moment of silence. Finally they couldn't bear it anymore. He could only look at half-Saint Qinghe curiously. The situation of the person in front of me is indeed a bit out of line. Qinghe half-Saint sensed the gazes of several people. But he still didn't say a word, his eyes were slightly closed, as if he had fallen into a deep sleep again. No one dared to disturb him. The top of Daoji Mountain became quiet. The end of the forest of Stells. Shui Jianqing's figure emerged. He looked at Lin Zi as if he had seen a ghost. Jian Huang. Shui Jianqing sighed, Brother Lin's understanding is peerless. Shui has been in Qingyu for so many years, and he has never seen anyone as talented as you. With your talent, I'm afraid that within 100,000 years, the entire Qing territory will respect you. Lin Zi smiled and said, Thank you, Sword Emperor. It's not like Shui is giving a prize. Shui Jianqing shook his head. With Lin Zi's outstanding performance in terms of will and understanding, even if his performance in the third level is not good, he is definitely the heir to the half-saint. With the semi-saint's dedicated training, coupled with Lin Zi's own talent, Shui Jianqing said that he was conservative for 100,000 years. The first place, who understands the 9 complete skills, will be rewarded with 1,000 pieces of calamity energy. Shui Jianqing announced Lin Zi's results loudly, and then poured another 1,000 strands of calamity energy into his immortal fate order. This caused Lin Zi's calamity energy to reach a peak that no one could surpass. The other side, Hongtian couldn't tell what kind of expression he had on his face. He lost again. We still lost despite trying our best. Quote. Hongtian smacked his mouth. The expression on his face was very strange. He was smiling, he was angry, he was completely aroused to be competitive, but he was also cautious when facing a powerful enemy in his life. He suddenly appeared next to Lin Zi. You win again. If not, Hongtian twitched the corner of his mouth, it's interesting. He turned to look at Shui Jianqing. You've passed the test of will and understanding, now it's time for actual combat next, right? I want to compete with him again now. I don't believe you can beat me in actual combat. When it came to actual combat, Hongtian looked full of fighting spirit and showed no fear. Obviously, compared to competitions such as understanding and will, actual combat is his best trump card. Shui Jianqing frowned when he heard this. The next moment, the feeling of abandonment from heaven and earth emerged again. Quote. The next level is indeed a battle of wits. Very good. Hongtian smiled. There is a trace of mysterious aura lingering around him. Now that he and I have completed the trial, why not arrange for me to fight him? Shui Jianqing shook his head. This is against the rules. After saying that, the feeling of abandonment came again. Quote. Depend on. It's not over yet. Shui Jianqing was helpless. Quote. If you too strongly request it, I can ask the half-saint and the sect leader to let you two enter the third trial in advance. After saying that, Shui Jianqing looked at Lin Zi. Lin Zi glanced at Hongtian. One glance. Just like him, half a step into the divine sea. Half step to the sea of gods, you are pulling your ass. It's boring if you don't fight. Lin Zi always had only one target in a fight. His eyes fell on Lord Kurong. Among these people present, the realm of Venerable Kurong is undoubtedly the highest on the surface, the humane Tianyuan. The fate of the Tianyuan level cultivator of humanity is definitely a crushing blow. Anyone who hesitates is disrespectful to the 4 words of Tianyuan of humanity. Even if they are facing Lin Zi now, it is the same. The level gap is too big. Half a step from Divine Sea to Tianyuan, there is a whole gap between Divine Sea realm. What's more, it's humanity Tianyuan who is named the Venerable. The 5 innate Tianyuan realms are divided into Aura Tianyuan, Humane Tianyuan, Authentic Tianyuan and Heavenly Tianyuan according to the condensed Tianyuan. One step at a time. And what most people in the world condense is spiritual like Tianyuan. Those who can form the Tianyuan of humanity are heroes among men, so they are called humanity. With Lord Kurong's realm of humanity and Tianyuan, it would be no problem to beat Lin Zi, a super-level half-step Divine Sea. But unfortunately, right away, Lin Zi will no longer be half a step into the sea. After the fusion of skills, he is strong enough to fight against humanity Tianyuan. Thinking of this, the corners of Lin Zi's mouth rose. The battle he had been waiting for so long was finally coming. But after hearing what Lin Zi said, Hongtian's arrogance froze. Isn't this what he often says? Quote. So infuriating. What else did Hongtian want to say? But he saw that Lin Zi had already moved away, ran to the side and closed his eyes to rest, obviously preparing for the subsequent battle. In a daze, he seemed to have become another Hongtian. Seeing this, Hongtian was speechless. Was he so annoying before? Quote. You're looking down on me, right? Ha, you'll realize later how wrong you were. After that, Hongtian also ran to the other side to close his eyes and rest. Daoji Mountain Top. The 9 great sages couldn't help laughing. These 2 little guys. If they really want to start fighting early, I would like to agree to see what kind of sparks these 2 weirdos can create. Indeed, Hongtian is not bad either. He can master a skill in 100 seconds. He is also a rare talent that is rare in millions of years. Especially the method he used to suppress Daoji Mountain. It seems as if Daoji Mountain and this world are helping him. This method is really unbelievable. How is it? Have you figured out the true identity of this Hongtian? Quote. Lao Zhong, tell me, you seem to have some eyebrows before. Hearing this, Lao Zhong said, I have been guessing that this Hongtian may also have an immortal body. Quote. Even if not, at least it is one of the 17 holy bodies. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of several people present changed. Eucharist, immortal body. Lin Zi hadn't even figured out which immortal body it was. Now here comes another one. Do you think the legendary holy body is just Chinese cabbage? Everywhere. They all appeared in my Qingyu. Have you poked a hole in the immortal body's nest today? An election in the Qing territory brought out all the hidden immortal body. Don't interrupt, Lao Zhong, just tell me. Lao Zhong touched his chin. He stared at Hongtian closely and said, I have been observing this Hongtian since just now. Whether it's climbing the ladder to heaven or piecing together the fragments of a skill. This Hongtian has a mysterious force helping him. When he wants to cross the ladder to heaven, the ladder becomes dim, and every step he takes falls on the weakest point of calamity. He was looking for a technique, so the wind blew away the fragments. Smooth sailing, all your wishes will come true. Everything you think of is allowed. It's like the world loves him. Lao Zhong said, don't you think this kind of excessive favor from heaven and earth looks a lot like a certain holy body and that immortal body? After Lao Zhong finished speaking, everyone immediately thought of 2 names. The holy body of good luck. The immortal body of destiny. The holy body of good luck, the incarnation of luck among the 17 holy bodies. Those who possess the holy body of good luck will have the ultimate luck in the world. And this luck manifests itself in all aspects. For example, when you go out and pick up a peerless skill, you can jump off a cliff and survive and get the inheritance from a strong person, buy a random sword and become a peerless magic weapon, a life and death enemy is suddenly killed by a thunderbolt, and all your wishes come true. These are all basic operations. As for the destiny immortal body. Destiny. If the holy body of fortune is the embodiment of luck in the world, then the immortal body of destiny is the condensation of destiny. Regarding the immortal body of destiny, the most popular saying in the world is, everything you do and think is real, everything you think about is the world. Destiny is mine. How to understand this sentence is a matter of opinion. In short, the existence of the destiny immortal body is the same as that of the ethereal immortal body and the 10,000 magic immortal body. They are the ultimate of a certain path, possessing the perverted mysteries created by the great Tao. Daoji Mountain Top. The blurting out of the immortal body of destiny and the holy body of fortune made the 9 great sages of the world restless again. They looked at Lin Zi and then at Hongtian, but hesitated to speak. After a long time, the 9 great sages sighed quietly. There are talented people from generation to generation. 2 peerless geniuses who are suspected of having immortal bodies and holy bodies. This Daoji Mountain trial is truly exciting. I can't wait to see the sparks between them. That old guy Kurong is here, just to add fuel to this competition. Kurong makes a whetstone. Wouldn't it be too hard? It's okay, with us watching, we can just see the limits of the suspected immortal body. After living for so many years, this is the first time I have seen a living immortal body. Quote. While the 9 great sages were discussing, time passed quickly. While Lin Zi closed his eyes and rested his mind, he had already integrated all the newly obtained 9 Earth-level middle-level skills with what he had learned. You observe the world and feel it, and you have new ideas about the exercises you have learned. You have integrated the mental methods you have learned. The main method of thinking is the record of the fall of the wilderness, with a total of 2 supplementary materials. Dawang Yuantianlu has achieved a level breakthrough. You have comprehended the Earth-level top-grade Kung Fu, the real Kung Fu of the 2 extremes of heaven and desolation. You have a feeling when you look at the world. You have integrated the body training methods you have learned. The body refining method is mainly based on burning the holy demonic art, with a total of 2 supplementary materials. Burning Saint True demonic skill achieved a level breakthrough. You have comprehended the Earth-level top-level skill, Yanmo True Body. With the arrival of the 9 high-quality prefecture-level middle-grade exercises, Lin Zi's knowledge was finally integrated and upgraded to the prefecture-level top grade. Mental technique. Earth-level top grade, Heavenly and Wild Realm level 10. Body refining method. Earth-level top grade, Yanmo True Body LV10. Movement skills. Earth-level top grade, True Feathering Technique LV10. Swordsmanship. Earth-level top grade, Wan Hidden Edge Sword Guide LV10. Boxing. Under the powerful impetus of this Earth-level high-grade technique, the aura on Lin Zi's body instantly reached the extreme state. Boom. The sea of illusion falls into the realm of reality. Lin Ziyao swam into the sea and explored the sea of heaven and earth. The divine sea realm is achieved in an instant. Buzz. Invisible waves washed over Lin Zi's body, washing away the mundane air and impacting his divine sea. Lin Zi's divine sea energy is getting stronger and stronger. 1 breath, 2 breaths. But in a moment, Lin Zi had already reached the peak of the divine sea realm. Immediately afterwards, wow, invisible waves rise and fall. Lin Zi's divine sea is trembling. They gathered huge waves, trying to wash away the sky above their heads and push away the bright Tianyuan that guided the path of Mingzan. Wow, the high-hanging sky is furious and wants to destroy the divine sea that desecrates the realm of heaven. The whole world trembled, trembling. Grains of brilliance shimmered in the sky. The dazzling Tianyuan belonging to Lin Zi has begun to show its edge, guiding Lin Zi in the direction of the waves. See the light of Tianyuan appear in the world. The divine sea is turbulent. Hold head high. In the divine sea, giant dragons roam. A huge bloody dragon representing Lin Zi's true body suddenly opened its eyes. It made a roar that shook the sky, and wanted to carry the wave of its life to break away the thick cloud sky and achieve Tianyuan. But the next moment, however, the waves gradually calmed down the angry waves. Lin Zi chose to stop there. Because after the peak of Shanghai, the next step is to condense Tianyuan. Tianyuan is the condensation of the monk's lifelong search for the Tao, and it is also the greatest recognition of this person from heaven and earth, which is the permit to heaven, specially issued to him. 4 kinds of Tianyuan, 4 different opportunities. Once solidified, there is no chance to change it again. Be careful when condensing Tianyuan. We must pay attention to the right time, place and people, both are indispensable. Based on Lin Zi's current conditions, the condensation tunnel should be fine. But what he wants is not the way of earth, but the way of heaven. With a plug-in such as God-level understanding, if you don't open a top-level Tiandao Tianyuan, you will be sorry for the existence of the plug-in. Tianyuan, you want the best. Therefore, Lin Zi chose to stop temporarily and wait until he entered the 9 sects of Qingyu to further deepen his knowledge and have better conditions before making a breakthrough. Open your eyes. Lin Zi let out a long sigh of relief. The realm has reached the peak of the Divine Sea, and the skills have been upgraded to the top grade of the Earth level. This wave should not be a big problem. He looked up at the time. By the time he achieved breakthrough with his fusion technique, time had quietly reached more than 2,000 seconds. Some people present looked embarrassed and worried. This game is almost coming to an end. Lin Zi was even more looking forward to the actual 3rd level trial. He has been waiting for a hearty battle for a long time. Lin Zi prayed. The 9 great sages of Qingyu on the top of the mountain were shocked to the point of numbness by him. The 18-year-old Banbu Shanhai was not something they witnessed with their own eyes, so it was hard to say. But at the age of 18, at the peak of Shanhai, this horse riding actually happened under the noses of 9 of them. They watched helplessly as Lin Zi took a half step to the Divine Sea and reached the peak of the Divine Sea in a whoosh. Just step on the horse with a whoosh. Gone. Quote. Quote. The master of the 9 great sages became numb. After living for tens of millions of years, have they ever seen a person break through the realm of cultivation in a blink of an eye? They were silent for a long time. It took a long time for someone to say, the ethereal immortal body is gone. If this wasn't the ethereal immortal body, I would have eaten the entire Daoji mountain. Then what does his understanding say? If you can't have 2 immortal bodies, you can always have 1 holy body and 1 immortal body, right? Or, he himself has some kind of ancient bloodline with amazing understanding, and on this basis he has an ethereal immortal body. Quote. It seems, makes sense. It makes sense. I really doubt that my tens of millions of years have been in vain. Quote. The 9 great sage sect masters started talking at once. But Qinghai semi-saint always closed his eyes and said nothing. Time soon came after 5,000 silks. The second trial is over. The first place is undoubtedly Lin Zi, who is fully enlightened in all 9 sects. Become the first record holder in the history of the Daoji Mountain trial to achieve full enlightenment of the 9 gates. Others have more or less comprehended 2 or 3 gates. This time, the half-saints elected were all the top talents from all realms in the Qing territory, so the results of the trial were much better than in other times. Among them were a fat Taoist boy, a red-haired boy from the Red Spirit tribe, and a man with a beard who suddenly emerged from the army and mastered 4.5 disciplines before time ran out. Normally, the 9 great sages would sigh a few words and then start betting or robbing people. But this time, in front of Lin Zi and Hong Tian, 2 peerless beings who were suspected of being immortals, the light of other people had been completely overshadowed and they had become ordinary people under their light. Not worth mentioning. Now they only care about Lin Zi and Hong Tian's amazing performance. Then, the second trial is over. Shui Zhanqing received the highest order from the 9 great sages. Start the third trial quickly. Shui Zhanqing waved his hand and opened the fog at the end of the forest of steles without even finishing a word of praise. In that mist, a winding mountain road leads straight to the top of the mountain. At the top of the mountain, an ancient battlefield stands majestically. Shui Zhanqing stood in front of the winding mountain road and said, "The third trial, the ancient battlefield. This level will test your fundamentals." Before he finished speaking, Shui Zhanqing's brows trembled. Quote. You are annoying. He glanced at Hongtian. Reluctantly, he quickly added the next few words, with practical compatibility. We, the 9 sects of Qingyu, have always believed that a person's basic qualifications include all aspects, and a simple test cannot show his basic potential. Only in desperate situations of life and death, only in desperate situations, can your potential be fully developed and displayed. Therefore, our 9 sects of Qingyu merge the tests of root bones and combat abilities into one. When you fight, this ancient battlefield will record your qualifications, and it will ultimately give you your performance evaluation. As for the actual results, it will be determined based on your ranking. Follow me. After saying that, Shui Zhanqing led everyone religiously up the mountain road leading to the ancient battlefield on the top of the mountain, and arrived at the huge battlefield on the top of the mountain. What you see is ruined. A tragic atmosphere of ancient wilderness and bleak autumn wind emerged in everyone's heart. And high in the sky at the end of the ancient battlefield, The terrifying figure that is unparalleled in ancient times and today, and that is so powerful in the 9 heavens and 10 earths stands proudly. One of them is even covered with the divine chain of laws, and his existence makes the world move. There is no doubt that these 10 are the most supreme half-saints and 9 sect masters in the Qing territory. After everyone went through trials, they finally met these 10 legendary supreme beings. They paid their respects at once. See half-saint. Meet the 9 sect masters. The half-saint said nothing. His eyes were slightly closed, without any source, as if he was looking at someone, but also as if he was not looking at anyone. The other 9 said, "Don't worry about us, just enjoy your trials." Jian Qing, let's get started. Yes. Shui Jianqing turned around and glanced at everyone coldly. The third trial, the ancient battlefield. This trial adopts no rules and no restrictions. Hidden weapons, techniques, magical weapons, elixirs, poisons. Any fighting method you can think of can be used in the trial. This is how actual combat is. In a real life and death battle, no one will tell you the rules. Survive, that is your only choice. Having said that, Shui Jianqing waved his hand, and everyone's immortal fate tokens were immediately received in the air and began to rotate rapidly with the void storm. The storm is growing, making it difficult to see the reality. The ancient battlefield is divided into 2 parts. The first round is a free-for-all. All of you will be divided into 10 groups for a free-for-all. The top 10 in each group will receive an additional designated challenge opportunity. The second game, designated challenge. After the melee, your route qualifications will be conveyed in the battlefield records, and all your total calamity chi from the 3 trials will be comprehensively ranked. At that time, if you are not satisfied with your ranking, you will have an opportunity to challenge anyone in the ranking. Your final ranking will be the final result of the 4th trial of actual combat ability. Everyone understands that the first melee is just a warm-up exhibition match. Those who have strong bones will measure their abilities, while those who don't will rely on their explosive potential. If you can fight, fight. If you can't, it doesn't matter. The second game after that is what really determines the results. In this case, now let's draw lots to determine the battle groups. While talking, the storm rocked. One by one, the immortal fate tokens turned into brilliant light and shot out from the storm. Their corresponding masters instantly appeared on all sides of the battlefield. Shui Jianqing's voice spread everywhere. The groups have been decided and the melee has officially begun. Shui Jianqing just finished speaking. Whoosh, boom. Come die, get away, quote. In the battlefield, fire was everywhere, and it was earth-shattering. Rays of divine light burst out. The sword marks tear the heaven and the earth apart. Everyone showed their special abilities and started an extremely chaotic battle. Lin Zi was placed in the 7th group. In this group, there is no fat Taoist boy and red-haired boy from the Red Spirit clan, as well as Lord Kurong and Hong Tian. Some are just inconspicuous little characters. On Hong Tian's side, there were also no ruthless characters worth mentioning. Hong Tian was a little disappointed when he saw this. He glanced in the direction of Lin Zi. Pity. In the entire Daoji Mountain trial, only Lin Zi could give Gao a glance, and it was worth looking forward to. Others. Hong Tian withdrew his gaze and looked coldly at everyone in the same group with him. Others also know how powerful Hong Tian is. They plan to join forces to deal with Hong Tian first. Ah, Hong Tian's eyes showed disdain. A swarm of ants. You all die. Boom. Hong Tian stamped his foot. There was an explosive air wave under my feet and spread along the battlefield. His half-step divine sea cultivation completely exploded. Half-step to the divine sea. Nothing more than that. Someone with advanced cultivation realized Hong Tian's true cultivation and immediately breathed a sigh of relief. He was about to solve Hong Tian's serious problem with just one finger. Sudden, the sky and the earth are eclipsed. The world in his eyes turned gray and black. The air of destruction and decay is permeating the air, and the whole world seems to be destroyed. He looked horrified and wanted to resist. But I found that I couldn't resist at all. The body cannot move. He was trembling instinctively. The next moment, a huge sword energy struck him from behind. It seems that someone from another battlefield group lost control. Immediately afterwards, another stone rolled up by the battlefield storm rushed towards him with a strange impact. Just such an inconspicuous pebble, as a great monk in the divine sea realm, he actually felt the threat of death. Quote. It's over. At this time, a wave of green clothes came and took him away directly. It's Shui Jianqing. He sensed something was wrong and took action to save the man. After the man was rescued, he immediately said to Shui Jianqing, Senior Sword Emperor. Something was wrong just now. I know. Quote. While talking, Shui Jianqing waved his hand and saved several people who were about to die due to various accidents. 1 breath, 2 breaths. Shui Jianqing waved his hands one after another at the same time. In the blink of an eye, there was no one left on the battlefield in Hongtian. Hongtian became the only winner. Quote. We just lost like this. Are we starting a fight? Quote. Everyone looked horrified, as if they had seen a ghost. What are you doing? Is there such a way to play? Looking back at Hongtian, he seemed to have just done a trivial thing. He left the battlefield with a calm expression and waited for the start of the second game. Quote. Senior Sword Emperor, isn't this too? Shui Jianqing just said lightly, you have been eliminated. There is only one winner in this game. Get ready for the next designated challenge. After that, Shui Jianqing continued to inspect the entire battlefield. The 9 great sage masters had no trouble. It would be strange if Hongtian, the suspected immortal body, could lose. After Hongtian finished fighting, they looked at Lin Zi again. On the other side, Lin Zi also ended the melee with a punch without any surprise. The whole process was uneventful and nothing spectacular. One punch determines the outcome. Lord Ku Rong, the number 1 on the surface, is naturally no exception. The 3 group scrimmages were over before they even started. The performance of other groups was mediocre. After all, this melee is just a warm-up performance to test your abilities. If you don't decide anything, you will expose your trump card and skills too early, which will be detrimental to the next game. As a result, everyone played more reservedly, and few people actually fought hard. After a while, the melee ends. The ancient battlefield measured everyone's bones, combined all the previous calamity results, and gave the final ranking. The first place is undoubtedly Lin Zi. He defeated his opponents by a landslide in every game. In second place, Hongtian has been showing off, and there is no trace of him in the top 100. So the second one was given a character that surprised everyone. It was the bearded man who came in right after Lin Zi and Luo Wuchen, holding his head in his hands. The sudden rise of the bearded man surprised everyone except Lin Zi and Hongtian. Lin Zi and Hongtian discovered something unusual about this big man early on. Who can be so simple as to be able to rush in as soon as Daoji Mountain opens? His arrogant behavior is just a way to hide his true self, hoping that others will take it easy and label him a fool and not guard against him. However, whether it was Lin Zi or Hongtian, this bearded man was not someone worth being wary of. The only opponent in their eyes from beginning to end was Lord Ku Rong, Lin Zi. He's the second one. Oh, we were all deceived by this guy. The people who can enter this semi-saint selection are all elites from all walks of life. Who is really stupid? It's natural that he is second. This guy has suddenly emerged in the level of understanding. He has comprehended 4.5 gates. He seems to be in the front in the level of the ladder to heaven, and he is also in the front when entering Daoji Mountain. Including his base is definitely not low. Overall, ranking second is normal. Quote. Everyone was talking about the big man with a curly beard. Shui Jianqing and the 9 great sage masters only glanced at each other lightly. Again, in ordinary times, this might be a character. But in this case, only the 2 most dazzling suns, Lin Zi and Hongtian, were left in their eyes. The light of the sun is enough to swallow up everything. Being in a trial with these 2 monsters may be their greatest misfortune. Shui Jianqing waved his hand, and the immortal fate order returned to everyone's hands again. The second game, the designated challenge, begins. From now on, if you have any objections to the rankings, you can challenge anyone. If the challenge succeeds, your rankings will be swapped. If the challenge fails, you will have no chance to challenge and can only passively accept challenges from others. Time. Shui Jianqing released a ball of calamity energy again. Until these 5,000 strands of tribulation energy are burned out. After saying that, Shui Jianqing stopped talking and looked directly at Hongtian. Not surprisingly, he was definitely the first one to jump out. As expected, as soon as Shui Jianqing finished speaking, Hongtian couldn't wait any longer. I want to challenge for first place. I want to challenge for the first place. Two voices sounded at the same time. One is Hongtian, and the other is the old and feeble Lord Ku Rong. The two of them challenged Lin Zi at the same time. Seeing this, Shui Jianqing said, the two challenge for first place, but Senior Ku Rong has a higher ranking and has priority to challenge. Hearing this, Hongtian immediately sighed helplessly. He glanced at Lord Ku Rong and said, Old man, if you still fight with others at such an old age, you are not afraid of breaking your own frame. Lord Ku Rong stroked his gray beard and said with a smile. The old and dead are all people who are dying and half buried in the ground. There is nothing left to worry about. While the old man still has some remaining strength, I want to take a good look at the young people of Qingyu's generation. Let the last part of his life shine and be considered a success for this long life journey. Venerable Ku Rong added, and I challenge you first, just to explore the way for you, little friend, so that you two geniuses can perform better, right? Hongtian curled his lips and said, who wants you to explore the way? Quote. Forget it, if you want to stop me, fight now, I will be next. In his words, Hongtian seemed to have concluded that Venerable Kurong and Venerable Tianyuan of humanity would definitely lose. Shui Jianqing and the 9 sect leaders were also quite surprised. With half a step, well, now we are at the peak of Shanghai. It is extremely difficult to fight Tianyuan across a huge realm at the peak of the Divine Sea. What's more, it's still humanity Tianyuan, especially the veteran Tianyuan who has inheritance and foundation like Lord Ku Rong. There is an unknown gap between him and the peak of Shanghai. Even if Lin Zi has an ethereal immortal body, he is only an ethereal immortal body at the peak of the Divine Sea, and is not yet invincible. Even the 9 great sage masters couldn't say bad about this battle. He didn't know where Hongtian had such confidence in Lin Zi. Could it be that because he lost to Lin Zi, he thought that Lin Zi was the only one in the world? What do these immortal bodies, 1 or 2, think of the difference in cultivation level? Chinese cabbage. Thinking like this, Lin Zi has arrived at the center of the battlefield. He has been waiting for Lord Kunrong for a long time. Bring it on, Honorable Ku Rong, please. Please, little friend. The two took their places. A war is about to break out. Others don't care to challenge others. Anyway, there is still a lot of time and I can fight at any time. But the battle between number 1 and Lord Ku Rong does not happen at any time. I bet 100 Shantian pills, Lord Ku Rong will definitely win. Honorable Ku Rong, a veteran and strong man, I want to win first. I'm optimistic. Maybe, his strength will always be the first for all to see. Stop talking, the fight is about to begin. Quote. While talking, Lin Zi and Lord Kurong both broke out with shocking momentum, full of coercion. In order to face Lord Kurong, Lin Zi did not test or hold back. The true power of heaven and earth is LV10. Yan Mo's real body is LV10. The true secret of feathering LV10. Lin Zi came up with all his firepower. Under the explosion of LV10 of the 3 Earth-level high-grade skills, Lin Zi's momentum was actually on par with a humane master named Ku Rongtang. Seeing this situation, before everyone could scream in surprise, a war broke out in the field. Boom! Venerable Ku Rong pinched his famous method, Ku Rong's life and destruction gong, in his hand, and every thought made him use Ku Rong. The left side of his body has regained his youthful appearance, his hair is green and full of infinite vitality. Spring returns to the earth, and flowers bloom. The right side of the body is dying, with gray hair, exuding an endless aura of decay and death. The vast expanse of sky, the evergreen fading away. The entire ancient battlefield was instantly divided into 2 clearly defined areas of life and death. Venerable Ku Rong stands proudly on the boundary between life and death, like a god who rules life and death. He slightly clasped his hands together, and the power of glory shone across the heaven and earth. Lin Zi's eyes flashed, well done. The 2 extremes of heaven and earth, reversing yin and yang. Lin Zi pinched 2 yin and yang energy in his hand. One hand holds white, the other holds black. In his eyes, 2 yin and yang fish, one black and one white, rotated. The mysterious and unpredictable aura of heaven and earth suddenly filled the air, flowing through the ages. Immediately afterwards, behind Lindsay, another vast river emerged from the sky. In the long river, thousands of swords are hidden. A scorching sun hangs over the long river, reflecting a cold light on thousands of swords, making people's hair and skin ache and their whole bodies feel cold. One hidden edge sword Yin LV10. The true power of heaven and earth is LV10. Cut. In an instant, the black and white yin and yang energy penetrated deeply into the long river that reaches the sky. Thousands of swords stand in the long river, and the body is stained with black and white. One is death, the other is life. The river of 10,000 swords roared into the sky. They compete with the chi of the birth and death of Lord Kurong, and there is no difference between them. Constantly impact and die. Seeing this, Venerable Kurong showed a slightly surprised look on his face. Although he did not use his full strength in this attack, the power of human Tianyuan was absolutely crushing the Divine Sea realm. It is rare for Lindsay to be able to withstand his venerable attack with his Divine Sea body. In this case, then you might as well be more serious. There was a trace of seriousness on the young and handsome face of Lord Kurong. Next moment, boom, the heaven and earth were shaken, and the sun and moon were without light. The power of the birth and death of Lord Kurong continues to extend, forming a domain of Kurong that rotates in spring and autumn in Daoji Mountain. He flew across the sky, standing proudly in the realm of birth and death of withered and prosperous things. He held the withered and defeated things in his left hand and held the joy and prosperity in his right hand. In the eyes, stars fall. Wow! A god's spear, which was condensed from countless withered and prosperous energy of life and death, appeared in midair. Infused with the power of human nature and Tianyuan. The tip of the gun was pointed directly at Lindsay. Cold light shimmers. Be careful, little friend. Sensing the powerful threat coming from the spear, Lindsay was not angry but happy, and his warlike heart was constantly burning. The blood in the body is surging. After traveling so far, there was finally a battle that burned all his blood. Come on. The aura of heaven and earth in Lindsay's eyes became even more turbulent. Bear. A strange demonic flame began to burn in Lindsay's eyes. The demonic flames merged with the black and white yin and yang energy, and a monstrous power that shook the whole world overwhelmed the scene. Immediately afterwards, pieces of illusory feathers floated around Lindsay again, making his figure blurry and hazy in the divine light of feathering. Like a dream, vaguely, another Taishuan dragon surges out of the sea, its path reaches the world. The true form of Yan demon, the demon flames spread across the sky. The true power of the two extremes of heaven and earth, the rotation of yin and yang. The true secret of feathering, a feather volleys into the air. Give it all to me. Lindsay activated several major techniques at the same time, brewing the killing moves in their respective moves to the limit. Boom! The shadow of a peerless god and demon has transcended the boundaries of time and space, resurrecting from the distant ancient times to the present. Gods and demons come to the world, and everything is destroyed. Destroy. The shadow of the gods and demons punched out, using the body of the Divine Sea to launch a god-defeating blow at the unattainable Tianyuan, hoping to destroy Tianyuan's undefeated myth. This attack is extremely sublime, with countless methods evolving in it. There is a disdain that Taishuan's magical power reaches the world. There is the boldness of the sunset over the long river with the sword Ju of the sunset over the long river. There is a small five elements true secret that reverses the five elements. There is also the arrogance of the mysterious transformation of yin and yang that reaches both ends of the world. Seeing this, the hearts of the 9 great sages were shocked. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Quote question mark quote. This is the highest level of the Chang Sunset Sword technique. No, it's not just that. He seems to have integrated other things to sublimate and improve the sword technique. How long has he been studying? And our sect's yin-yang mysterious transformation. The Taishuan divine art is also. The 9 sect leaders looked at me and I looked at you. They were speechless and each was confused. Although the methods such as Chang's Sunset Sword Technique and Yin-Yang Zan Bian are all derived from the entry-level chapters of the core skills of their respective sects. But at any rate, they are also derived from the top-level Earth-level skills, and their grades have reached the middle-level Earth-level skills. They possess mysteries that cannot be compared with ordinary skills. Even among their 9 sects, those who can practice them to perfection within 1,000 years are considered to be extremely talented. But this Lin Zi in front of him, he. How long has he only studied? I just learned it by riding a horse. You have practiced what you just learned and improved it for me. Is this reasonable? How reasonable? That's outrageous. But in a moment, several people came even more uncomfortably. This is true fire holy demon art. No. There are shadows of the true fire holy demon art, but it seems to be more advanced than the true fire holy demon art. What a fool, he even improved this crap thing called true fire holy demon art. The immortal body of 10,000 magics. This is not the immortal body of 10,000 magics. I ate Daoji Mountain on the spot. Is there really such an outrageous thing as twin immortal bodies in this world? Wait, where did he get the true fire holy demon art? Broken. The 9 great sage masters who stood at the top of Qingyu could no longer remain calm. Their knowledge-seeking eyes pointed at Semi-Saint Qinghe. Half-saint. Ancestor. Look at this. Semi-Saint Qinghe looked indifferent. He had already seen that Lin Zi knew the true fire holy demon art. Calm down. Keep watching. After the Semi-Saint spoke, everyone could only give up and continue reading while suppressing a lot of questions in their hearts. While several people were talking, the competition between Lin Zi and Lord Kurong had reached a fever pitch. The spear of the gods and the shadows of gods and demons are contending. They are at loggerheads. Waves of air shook the void, causing countless spatial cracks to riot. Air waves erupted from the connection between the tip of the spear and the shadow of the fist, sweeping across the entire virtual world. The mountains are humming. The world is crying. In a fierce confrontation. Lord Kurong's body is aging rapidly, and all his energy is being rapidly consumed. Lin Zi's true body hidden in the haze of feathering was also hit, and the skin disintegrated piece by piece, revealing dripping flesh and blood, dripping on Daoji Mountain. However, under the powerful recovery power of Lin Zi's real body, new skin quickly grew and he returned to his peak condition. It seems that Lord Kurong is about to be defeated by consumption. This made everyone present feel frightened. Kern Venerable, both of them. It's unbelievable that this number 1 actually used the body of Shanghai to defeat the Venerable. It's not just a draw, look at it. Lord Kurong's consumption is obviously greater, and this number 1 is just like a person who has nothing to do. Oh my God, Your Majesty, even if your energy and blood decline in your old age, you won't be able to consume more than 1 divine sea, right? Who is this number 1? How huge is his innate origin? Just when everyone was talking about it, no one noticed. The few drops of blood dripping from Lin Zi's body were silently absorbed by Daoji Mountain at a strange speed. No trace. The bottom of Daoji Mountain. In a mysterious dark space. A pair of red eyes opened quietly. It was slightly closed and looked weak. Bawang. Blood. After saying these words, he seemed to be extremely tired and so weak that he closed his eyes directly. There was no sound. For a long time. Only then did an undetectable weak wave reach the top of the mountain. And this fluctuation seemed to consume all his strength. In the mysterious space, there was silence and darkness returned. And Dao robs the top of the mountain. Lin Zi suddenly felt very hot. It's not overloaded heat. But something magical seems to be completely activated in the body, in the bones and blood. The breath engraved in ancient times is revived. A mysterious power filled Lin Zi's body. You revived the ancient bloodline hidden in your body, awakened the blood of the 8 ancient wastelands. Having regained your ancient bloodline, you have a deeper bloodline understanding of Bawang's tactics. You reread the 8 Desolations war techniques. You find that your bloodline has the ultimate tolerance in the world and can embrace everything in the world. Under the guidance of the bloodline, you try to forcibly integrate the Qi refining method, heart method, the essence refining method, and the spirit refining method with the Bawang bloodline method as the core, and the 3 veins are combined into one. You don't yet have the same level of God refining method. You combine the Tianwang bipolar true skill, and Yanmo true body. You have comprehended the ancient 8 desolate blood exclusive earth level high grade technique, Great Wilderness True Flame Kung Fu, Extreme. Great Wilderness True Flame Gong Extreme LV10, Great Perfection. Driven by the Bloodline's exclusive Great Wilderness True Flame skill, Lin Zi's physical body and spiritual energy are integrated into one, exceptionally harmonious, regardless of you and me. At this moment, with just a thought in Lin Zi's mind, he could burst out with terrifying power that was dozens of times more powerful than before. Feel the arrival of this new power. Lin Zi was stunned at first. Then, he murmured, it actually does exist. Regarding the fact that his family has a bloodline constitution, Lin Zi actually had doubts from the beginning. The point of suspicion is the demon cult poisoning incident. So many people in the Lin family were poisoned, and Lin Zi and Lin Ao even ate the poison powder themselves, but the rest of the Lin family were poisoned, and only their grandfather and grandson, who were of the real Lin family blood, were not poisoned. At that time, Lin Zi suspected that the Lin family had a deep bloodline that was not shown, so he asked his grandfather Lin Ao directly. It's a pity that Grandpa Lin Ao, the head of the Lin family, doesn't know the origin of his bloodline. So Lin Zi put this matter aside. Anyway, at that time, he didn't care about bloodline or anything like that. He only focused on his skills. But I didn't expect that this accident would actually awaken the Lin family's bloodline. How did you wake up? Lin Zi glanced at Lord Kurong thoughtfully. Could it be that high-intensity fighting can activate blood factors? Or does this thing depend on luck? While thinking, Lord Kurong seems to have exhausted himself to the limit. He let out a long sigh. Fighting Venerable Tianyuan with the body of Shanhai will be feared in the future, and the future will be feared. After saying that, Lord Kurong's expression tightened again. Come on. Final blow. Let me see the limits of the most powerful genius in this era. The words fell. Lord Kurong burned his spiritual energy and squeezed out the last trace of energy and blood. Withering method. Against the spring and autumn period. Boom. The terrifying realm of prosperity is expanding again. Lord Kurong struck a heaven-shattering blow. This blow shattered the void, bringing darkness to fall. Not good. This old guy is more serious than ever. Let's take action. It was probably the little guy's limit just now. He won't be able to catch this blow. The 9 great sages wanted to stop him and save Lin Zi. Whether it's because of Lin Zi's amazing talent or the origin of the true fire holy demon art, nothing can happen to Lin Zi. In the eyes of the 9 people, Lin Zi is now the most flawless and unique treasure in the world. The leader of the Chang sword sect is about to take action. But the hand has just been raised. Boom. In the center of the battlefield, Lin Zi waved his hand and fired a sword energy. Zheng. The sword roars to heaven and earth. Lord Kurong's domain was cut open by Lin Zi's sword energy. Just like cutting tofu, no resistance. A sword across the air. Boom. The domain was shattered, and Lord Kurong was backfired by the domain, draining all his strength. He lay in the middle of the battlefield without any majesty, breathing heavily. His eyes were full of horror. Call, you didn't try your best. Lin Zi shrugged. He didn't expect to suddenly awaken such a heaven-defying bloodline. The ancestors of the Lin family are awesome. Lin Zefei flew to Lord Kurong and helped him up. I have enjoyed this battle to the fullest, thank you so much, Lord. Lord Kurong was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled with relief. Just have fun, just have fun. After saying that, Lord Kurong left the battlefield. The outcome is decided. The winner, Lin Zi. Won. A person from the Divine Sea Realm actually won. Shanhai beat the Venerable and won by riding a horse. Crazy, crazy, all crazy. Lin Zi won, and the whole audience was excited. Everyone was stunned and thought they were dreaming. Except Hongtian. Hongtian saw Lin Zi's victory. He walked directly to Shui Jianqing and said impatiently, it's my turn. I want to challenge him. Shui Jianqing recovered from the shock. He glanced at Hongtian with strange and complicated eyes. What's the ink stain? Okay, let you 2 monsters fight each other. Shui Jianqing waved his hand. The battlefield reappears. Hongtian walked into the battlefield with a smile on his face and looked directly at the proud figure. The onlookers were speechless. This guy, even the Venerable lost, what is he doing up there? Does he think he is more powerful than the Venerable? Clown. Hongtian ignored everyone. He only has Lin Zi in his eyes. Finally the moment has come. I want you to do it for me before. The words have not yet finished. Lindsay stepped onto the battlefield, and a seismic wave instantly hit Hongtian. A half step to the divine sea. What are you arrogant about? Hongtian quickly dodged. His body avoided the blow in a strange arc, not 1 point more, not less, just right. You don't follow martial ethics. Let me finish my sentence at least. Quote. Lindsay raised his eyebrows. His blow just now was not deliberately missed, it was aimed at Hongtian himself. How could Hongtian, a mere half-step Shanghai, dodge his attack? That's interesting, no wonder he's so arrogant. Come again. Lindsay was serious this time. His eyes were slightly focused, and 2 purple lights shot out from his eyes as fast as the wind and as fast as thunder. Purple light soared into the sky, squinting across the sky. It locked Hongtian. Whoosh! The purple light arrived in front of Hongtian in an instant. Hongtian did not dodge. I saw his eyes closed. The world fell into darkness. That purple light was swallowed up by darkness. Disappeared without a trace. On the battlefield, everything is calm. It was as if the purple light had never appeared. Quote. What happened? Number 1's attack was actually blocked. What the hell is this, Hongtian? This Daoji Mountain trial is really. All kinds of monsters and monsters are here. Are you going to let us live? Quote. Everyone said in disbelief. Lindsay, who was in the center of the battlefield, narrowed his eyes. He knew very well that his attack was not blocked. But it was denied. Denied by the world. Rejected by the rules. This method. Off the field. The eyes of the 9 great sages showed strange light. Destiny. My will is God's will, and my heart is God's heart. Although I had expected it, but seeing the truth of this sentence with my own eyes, I am still shocked. The 9 immortals of the great Tao, each one has no laws. This kid is indeed a destined immortal body. Then let's see which one is more powerful, the destiny immortal body, the ethereal immortal body, or the 10,000 magic immortal body. Tisk, there is only one immortal body in a lifetime, and our Qing territory actually has 2 of them at once. If people from other domains know about this, they will probably go crazy. Okay, just relax and watch. It's just a good time to take advantage of the battle between 2 immortal bodies that has never been seen before to see whether Lindsay is an ethereal immortal body or a 10,000 magic immortal body. It can't really be 2 immortal bodies, right? If it is true that he has 2 immortal bodies, I suspect that he is the illegitimate son of Dao Dao. Quote. 9 people said. In the field, Lindsay and Hongtian started a new round of fighting. You were the first to attack both times. It's my turn this time. After saying that, Hongtian's energy condensed. He pointed to the sky and the ground. Tianchu, Earth is destroyed. The words just fell. Hongtian seemed to have transformed into the Emperor of Heaven and issued the final order to the world. This world was summoned by Hongtian. Thunder is coming. Boom. No wind or rain. The rolling thunder actually appeared in the mysterious virtual world. They instantly gathered into the eye of the storm. Thick purple divine thunder condensed in the eye of the storm. Next moment, boom, purple light reaches the sky. A lightning column connecting the sky and the earth suddenly rushed towards Lindsay with destructive force. And at this time, a deafening roar also came from the land of Daoji Mountain. It is repelling Lindsay. Squeeze Linz. The heavy power of the earth formed an eternal cage. It restrained Lindsay and refused Lindsay's power to pull the earth. In the sky, the purple divine thunder also confused the sky and imposed thunder punishment, making it impossible for Lindsay to borrow the time. This is the truest way of saying that the sky is not responding and the earth is not working. Boom, thunder flooded everything. The earth swallowed up everything. The squeeze of the earth, the baptism of thunder. They hit Lindsay at the same time, causing Lindsay to suffer the transformation of the millstone of heaven and earth. This made the onlookers present dumbfounded. Command the world. What happened? I was thinking about it, and I didn't even blink. Quote. But a few people with family backgrounds have seen Hongtian's roots. Command the heaven and earth, take the destiny and replace it. Isn't this method the legendary destiny immortal body? The legend of the 9 immortals of the Great Tao is actually true. Quote. Everyone was in amazement. Another incident occurred on the field. The thunder pillar of heaven was actually broken by an incredibly powerful force. The cage of the earth was also torn apart. The blood of the 8 ancient wastelands. Burn. Dawang Zhen Yan Gong. Come. A shadow of the devil threw the earth cage into the eye of the storm. Boom. Thunder punishment and dungeon are both destroyed. The shadow of the demon god rushed towards Hongtian again at a speed that was imperceptible to the naked eye. The fist shadow breaks through the sky. Hongtian's expression did not change. Rewind. The world is called upon again. Go back in time. Lin Zi's fist shadow actually went backwards. Lin Zi twitched the corner of his mouth. Backflow is coming. If I drive, you should drive too, right? Reverse. Hongtian gave another order. The shadow of that punch actually rushed towards Lin Zi in the opposite direction. Lin Zi. Whoosh. Lin Zi turned into thousands of shadows, avoided the fist shadow, and approached Hongtian again. Hongtian repeated his old tricks and turned back the clock again. Lin Zi strikes again. Hongtian continues to deny. The two of them were locked in a stalemate, and in the blink of an eye they had fought hundreds of times. The battlefield was full of swords, and the flames of war were burning everywhere. Quote. I've learned a lot. The onlookers were speechless. After living for so long, this was the first time they saw someone fighting like this. Outrageous. Too outrageous. The 9 great sages at that time watched it with great interest. People with a low level can only see them, clicking until they reach the end, and trying to fight each other. And they saw someone who was constantly using the power of destiny. One who is constantly breaking through the constraints of the power of destiny. This is playing with the rules of destiny in the midst of applause, constantly tearing apart and constantly healing. When did the rules of destiny become something that can be manipulated at will? These Tao immortals are really unreasonable at all. The battle for the immortal body is indeed mysterious. In this world, I'm afraid only the immortal body can defeat the immortal body. But how long can they keep fighting like this? At this time, the half-saint who had been silent until now suddenly spoke. It's over. The 9 people looked over immediately. I saw Hongtian and Lin Zi moving around. Hongtian's face turned obviously pale. The power of denial also becomes dim. Lin Zi raised the corner of his mouth slightly. It seems that you have no strength. Hongtian snorted coldly. Humph, your skin and fists are so hard, even purple thunder can't kill you. You used up my destiny for several days even if you denied it. It would be a loss if I didn't fight you. After saying that, Hongtian sighed, but I have never lost once in my life since I grew up, and I really don't want to just give in to you. There is only one of the 9 immortal bodies of the Great Tao in a lifetime, and 2 immortal bodies will almost never meet each other in a lifetime. But I just happen to be unlucky. Quote. The last resort. One move determines victory or defeat. After Hongtian finished speaking, he pointed to the sky again. Next, you have to be careful. Calling thunder again. Let's change it to a powerful one. Hongtian. Quote. This time, I am not summoning thunder, I am trying to deny your own existence. Lin Zi narrowed his eyes slightly. Not only to deny the attack, but also to deny myself. Am I cheating or are you cheating? Then try. Here comes the sword. Hongtian beckons. Void turbulence emerged out of thin air. An ordinary broken sword suddenly appeared in Hongtian's hand. Saw this rusty broken sword. Everyone present, including the 9 great sages, were dumbfounded. Quote. Holy soldier. Remnant sky sword. Quote. Several great sages looked at the being known as Lao Zhang. Lao Zhang, your home has been stolen. Lao Zhang is the leader of the Kanshan Dao sect. That mediocre broken sword Kanshan sword is the inherited holy weapon of their Kanshan Dao sect. Holy weapon, as the name suggests, it is a natal weapon forged by a saint. Possessing incredible power of a saint. Of course, this holy weapon does not belong to Qingyu Qingsheng himself. Qingsheng's natal holy soldiers have been enshrined in the Chang sword sect's forbidden area to suppress the Qingyu lifeline. This Kanshan sword is a trophy captured by Qingsheng. Years ago, a war broke out in ancient times. The ancient Qing sage defeated 8 with 1 and beheaded the 8 saints. Their holy weapons were also captured by Qingsheng, and the holy seals were washed away and given to the other 8 sects to inherit the holy weapons for the 8 sects. The Kanshin sword is one of the 8 sacred weapons. Lao Zhang, the leader of the Kanshin Dao sect, has kept this sword sealed and has never used it for tens of millions of years. Even during the demon sect's rebellion, no holy soldiers were ever invited, and the seal was well sealed. But now, it's just a Dao Tribulation Mountain trial. A selection trial. The Kanshin sword actually let the immortal body of destiny be borrowed silently. Quote. The corners of Lao Yang's mouth twitched crazily. That's crazy. Can you control the borrowed holy weapon? Stop him. Holy soldiers are not child's play. The Kanshin sword must not be opened, especially in the holy land of Daoji Mountain. As they spoke, several people tried to stop Hongtian from doing stupid things. But this time, Hongtian's face suddenly turned pale. He spat out a mouthful of blood. The Kanshin sword that had just arrived in my hand actually followed the turbulent flow of the void back to the Kanshin Dao sect and disappeared. Watching Kanshin's sword leave, the holy soldier actually rejected me. Hongtian looked in disbelief. With his remaining power of destiny, he cannot control too much power of the holy soldiers. That is his own problem. The summonable holy soldiers refuse to leave. This is the problem of the holy soldiers. A mere remnant of a soldier defeated by the ancient Qing sage, how dare you refuse my call? As one of the 9 immortal bodies of the great Tao, the destiny immortal physique, even the world must obey his orders. How dare you reject him with just a remnant of a soldier? Is this rejecting him? This is a slap in the face of destiny. How dare you, a mere remnant of soldiers? Hongtian didn't believe this evil. He waved again. Remnant sky sword, come. This time, Hongtian strengthened the edict of heaven and earth, named him by name, and only wanted the Kanshin sword. Under Hongtian's call again, the rusty end of the Kanshin sword once again crossed the void and stretched out of the virtual world. However, the next moment, Hongtian spit out a mouthful of blood again. His face turned golden. Obviously, he was rejected by the holy soldiers again. Quote. Hongtian was confused. In growing up, this is the first time that his will has been violated as a destiny immortal. First time. The Kanshin sword. The Kanshin sword. Good on you, broken sky sword. You seem to have lost your temper. Lin Zi didn't know when he arrived behind Hongtian, looking at the void where Kanshin sword left with an interesting expression. Hearing this, Hongtian shouted like a cat whose tail was stepped on, reflexively, this is not my problem. He gritted his teeth. It's that holy weapon, there's something ghostly about it. Lin Zi was noncommittal and said, didn't you just want to deny my existence? Why did you turn around to summon the sword? Quote. Isn't this making a fuss? If you deny having an immortal body like mine, I don't think my life will be long. In Hongtian's eyes, Lin Zi's ability to comprehend the 9 ancient skills in an instant clearly corresponded to the 10,000 magic immortal body among the 9 immortal bodies. It is precisely because of this that Honkai wants to compete with Lin Zi more and more. There is only one person among the 9 immortals of the Great Tao in a lifetime. The 2 immortal bodies will probably never meet once in their lifetime. Therefore, there has never been a definite conclusion as to which of the 9 immortal bodies is stronger or weaker. Now, he met Hongtian, how could he not be itchy? Therefore, this is not only for the obsession that I have never failed, but also to prove that destiny is stronger than all laws. But the result, it's all blame on the Kanshin sword. Hongtian stared hard at the direction where Kanshin sword left. This is a disgrace to destiny. Sooner or later, he will tear this piece of shit apart and use it to fill the pits of the human world. I won't play today, I'm not in good condition. Hongtian left the center of the battlefield, reluctantly leaving behind a word. Just, you win. Following Hongtian's words, Lin Zi was once again the only one left on the battlefield. Lin Zi defended the top spot. See this. All those watching the battle were confused, wondering what it was like. These 2 battles made them look stupid. In one battle, the Divine Sea Realm defeated Lord Tianyuan. In one scene, he was so outrageous that he summoned the holy weapon Kanshin sword. Outrageous. Ridiculous. When did the threshold for the Daoji Mountain trial be raised to such an extent? This makes them look stupid. And this is indeed the case. After 2 battles, few people cared about how others fought or whether they fought. All the light has gathered on these 2 dazzling beings, Lin Zi and Hongtian. The second-ranked man with a beard looked at Lin Zi and Hongtian solemnly. He worked hard for this half-saint selection, just thinking that he could make a splash, gain the praise of the half-saint, and become the successor of the half-saint. But now, in front of these two geniuses, all his thoughts were in vain. Quote. Well, a long time. The tall man with beard sighed longly. Maybe, this is life. The bearded man accepted his fate. It's impossible not to accept fate in this situation. One defeated the venerable, and the other summoned the holy soldier. What can he do? The bearded man accepted his fate, but some people clearly did not. If you can't compete for first place, you can compete for second place. If you can't become the inheritor of the semi-saint, then you can become the core true inheritor of the 9 sects. So, his second position was targeted. After a moment of silence, someone shouted, "I want to challenge for second place." Hearing this, the eyes of the big man with beard suddenly turned red. "I can't deal with those two, and I can't deal with you either." Court death. Whoosh. A big battle breaks out again. But Lin Zi, Hongtian and others no longer care for them. The trial is over. Time passes. Soon, in each battle, 5,000 strands of tribulation energy were burned out. This ranking battle has finally come to an end. So far, the 5 major trials of the 9 sects of Qingyu in Daoji Mountain, luck, will, understanding, bones, and battles all ended successfully. The 9 great sage masters and half-saints finally descended from the void to the mortal world to give awards to the testers. The trial is over. Now, everyone who participates in this trial can freely choose the sect of their choice to join. Say it. 9 void portals appeared on the top of Daoji Mountain. Floating above them were the names of the 9 sects of Qingyu. Passing through this gate, you can go directly to the land of the 9 sects. When you arrive at the place, someone will take you to the corresponding place based on the tribulation energy and ranking of the immortal fate order in your hands. After saying that, the 9 people waited for everyone to decide to leave. Normally, at this time, they should leave some geniuses with particularly outstanding results to give special preferential treatment and start competing for outstanding disciples. Instead of letting everyone take the immortal fate order and leave in a hurry. But this time, except for Lin Zi and Hongtian, it doesn't matter whether anyone else stays or not. Moreover, some of the words that follow are not convenient for others to hear. They came directly to Lin Zi and Hongtian. Others then understood what the 9 great sages meant. After everyone selected their favorite sect, they left the scene wisely. Soon, only Lin Zi and Hongtian were left on the field. See everyone leaving. Lao Zhang came to Hongtian first. You dare to borrow the Kanshin sword even if you are half a step into the divine sea. You immortals are so bold. Okay, I won't say much more, let's get straight to the point. If you join our Kanshin Dao sect, you will be the next sect leader. You will have the right to act as the sect leader. All resources of this sect are completely open to you. Everyone in the sect is at your disposal. How? Hongtian yawned. Not really. As a destiny immortal body. Whatever Hongtian wants, he just claps his hands and shouts to get what he wants. No conditions in this world are attractive to Hongtian. The only thing that attracts him right now. Hongtian pointed at Lin Zi. Don't even ask me, ask him. Wherever he goes, I will go. Hear Hongtian's answer. Several people felt helpless. Lin Zi can go wherever he goes, so shouldn't Lin Zi be the successor of the semi-saint now? Although Hongtian and Lin Zi both have immortal bodies, it is obvious that Lin Zi's performance is better than Hongtian in every aspect. It's also more mysterious. Therefore, the successor of the semi-saint basically fell on Lin Zi. This is also the reason why Lao Zhang didn't go to Lin Zi first. After all, the half-saint hasn't spoken yet. In this way, as the successor of the semi-saint, Lin Zi must go to Chang's sword sect. Hongtian followed. How about the Chang sword sect? Just buy one get one free and get 2 immortal bodies. Good. The leader of the Chang sword sect laughed when he heard this. Our 9 sects of the Qingyu sect share the same spirit. No matter where you go, you will be my disciples of the 9th sect of the Qingyu sect. I respect your choice. Even if you get a bargain, you still behave well. The other 8 people rolled their eyes. However, due to the fact that the sword sect half-saint was right in front of them, the few of them could not get angry and could only laugh. But before that, there is another very important thing. The leader of the Chang sword sect looked at Lin Zi with bright eyes. Little friend Lin, you have practiced the true fire holy demon art. This is not a question, but a statement. No matter how this crap thing, true fire holy demon art, changes, they will recognize it even if it turns into ashes. This technique has been completely destroyed by our 9 sects in Qingyu with the power of great cause and effect. All the high-level officials of the demon sect have also been completely wiped out. It is absolutely impossible for any magic technique to appear again. Where did you get this method? The 9 people immediately looked at Lin Zi with serious eyes. Lin Zi didn't panic at all. He had thought of this before he came. As a supreme being who is only half a step away from the holy realm, the semi-saint has also fought against the leader of the demon cult and powerfully defeated him. How could he not see that he had practiced the true fire holy demon art? But so what? Lin Zi had no contact with the demon sect to begin with, so just tell the truth. I got this skill by accident. It came from the hands of a man named Liu Changfang from the Liu family of the Baikan dynasty in the human world. Before anyone could ask, Lin Zi added, and this Liu Changfang was a figure from 100 years ago. He joined the fire worship demon sect and disappeared after leaving this book of exercises in the Liu family. Hearing this, the 9 people were stunned. Mortal world. They immediately retorted, impossible, causation has been imposed on that skill. Not to mention the mortal world, even in the Mingshuan realm, it is impossible to leave even a few words of that magic skill. This is indeed the case, and traces of the demon cult were also found in that area. Later, Lin Zi informed the 9 people about what happened in the Baikan dynasty about the demon cult. The 9 people were silent for a long time after hearing this. For a long time, only then did someone say with a heavy face, it seems, that person is indeed back. Hearing this, Lin Zi raised his eyebrows. That person. What this means? Could it be that even the semi-saints couldn't kill the leader of the demon cult? The 9 people had unspeakable expressions on their faces. They all glanced at the half-saint. The half-saint spoke. This is the most he has ever spoken. Although the murderous man had not come into contact with the holy realm, his methods were strange, and at the last moment a trace of his soul escaped. I was also accidentally injured in this battle, and it is difficult to recover. In desperation, I used the power of the bloodline inherited from my distant ancestor Qingsheng to exert great cause and effect on this world to block the spread of her magic power and prevent her from making a comeback. Therefore, if there is still magic power in the world, it can only be from the hands of that murderous person. Lin Zi understood. So, Liu Changfang is the leader of the demon cult. The half-saint shook his head. As the great cause and effect exerted by the Qingsheng bloodline child's play. Even if the murderer has weird methods and frequent treacherous schemes, he still can't keep his magic power alive for 100 years. If you want to maintain the existence of magic power, you have to do it yourself. And you have that murderous aura about you. The half-saint gave the final answer. In other words, the magic power was handed over to you by the murderer himself. She chose you. As soon as these words came out, Lin Zi's eyes narrowed. In my mind, a clear clue suddenly became clear. Lin Zi remembered something. Apart from Lin Zi, Lin Ao and his grandson, there was one other person in the Lin family who was not poisoned at that time. She said that it was because of the effect of the medicinal bath that she was not poisoned, but the Jusheng Jiyu came from innate hands. If it is not a special bloodline, or it is not the 3rd level of the true fire holy demon art, how can it be cured by mortal medicine and stone? At the same time, she was the first to bring up the clues about Jusheng Jiyu, saying that there might be records in the Liu family's ancestors' handbooks, so they went to the Liu family, which led to the travel diary that recorded the true fire holy demon art. And she found this travel diary herself and handed it to him with her own hands. All of the above seemed to be consistent with what the half-saint said. But that person is not. Quote. The semi-saint's words made Lin Zi fall into silence for a moment. Had he actually read the book about this world? It seems that you have already thought of who it is. It's a pity that it's too late. With her scheming methods, she must have left long before she knew you were coming to Daoji Mountain. Quote. Lin Zi was still thinking about it. So, from the very beginning, the main plot of the book was the calculations of powerful people from all sides, but he didn't see it until the end. At this time, the half-saint said again, "It's okay, don't worry. At least she won't dare to do anything again until I die. After the small talk, it's time to get down to business. After saying that, the semi-saint looked at Lindsay intently and said the core words of the entire trial. My child, are you willing to inherit my mantle? He looked at Lindsay, and the shackles all over his body tightened at this moment. The divine chain of law is shining. It seems that the whole world is preventing him from choosing a successor. Everyone's eyes turned to him. Qingyu half-saint, this is a very critical, very important position. Its inheritance is related to the lifeblood of the entire Qingyu. Witnessing the semi-saint inheritance is witnessing the handover of history. This is an extremely sacred and solemn thing. As a result, all 9 people became very serious. In this regard, Lindsay just said one sentence. Junior should live up to expectations. The half-saint is the ancestor of the Chang sword sect. And Lindsay's choice from the beginning was the Chang sword sect. There is no other, just because the Chang sword sect is the orthodoxy of the ancient Qing sage, and it is also the only sect in the Qing territory that has the inheritance of the saint. This also means that only the Chang sword sect has heaven-level techniques. In addition, there is a change like the leader of the demon cult. Lindsay needs stronger and more absolute power. Therefore, except for the Chang sword sect, Lindsay would not go anywhere. Good. The half-sage nodded, then closed his eyes, leaving only one sentence. After you achieve Mingxuan, I will wait for you in the forbidden area of Zhanzong. After that, the divine chains of laws burst out with great power that can shatter the world and reshape the universe. Boom. With a hum of chaos, countless chains disappeared. Semi-Saint Qinghe also disappeared into Daoji Mountain. Congratulations to the half-saint. Farewell to my ancestor. Quote. After the half-saint left, the 9 great sage masters all breathed a sigh of relief, and they were finally no longer restrained. Others respect half-saints, so do they. No one dares to be presumptuous in front of the half-saint, the absolute supreme being of the Qing territory. The leader of the Chang sword sect, who breathed a sigh of relief, came to Lindsay and the others. When he looked at the 2 of them, he seemed to see 2 shining mountains of gold. Immortal body. 2 immortal bodies. 2 of the 9 immortals of the great Tao are in their Chang sword sect. With the unreasonable and perverted power of the immortal body, he should be able to break through the shackles and achieve the holy realm in the coming year. When the time comes, they, the Chang sword sect, will be 1 sect and 3 saints. What would that be like? The Chang sword sect will surely shine and create greater glory in his generation. Just thinking about it makes people excited. Therefore, the sword sect leader looked at the 2 people's smiles becoming brighter and brighter, almost turning into a chrysanthemum. Happiness is written all over his face. Ha ha ha. You too, would like to welcome these 2 worthy men to join our Chang sword sect. Saying that, you too, the leader of the sword sect, seemed to be afraid of being robbed by the other 8 people. He quickly waved his hand and pulled the void door leading to the Chang sword sect in front of Lindsay and the 2 of them. Please, please quickly. The other 8 people were speechless upon seeing this. This old guy, little friend Hongtian, don't you think about it anymore. As long as you want, our Yin Yang Xuanmen will open the door for you at any time. Whatever you want, everyone in Xuanmen will agree to it. Lindsay, the half-saint inheritor, they had no hope and did not dare to have hope. But Hongtian was still able to save and save. This is an immortal body. In the world of Tianlin, the word, immortal body, is the final right of interpretation. With the power of the immortal body, as long as you cultivate it with all your heart, you will definitely become a saint in the coming year. So a few people tried to grab Hongtian again. But Hongtian tilted his head, showing a puzzled expression. Then what do you think I'm missing? He can even borrow holy weapons, although this requires consuming his destiny power, which takes a while to recover. But the most important thing for practitioners is time. Therefore, for Hongtian, all things in the world only need to wait for destiny, which is just 1 sentence. Get it you. This Tianlin is Hongtian's own supermarket. You can get whatever you want. What else can Yin Yang Xuanmen give him? Hongtian's words stopped Yin Yang Xuanmen for a moment. Quote. This, facing the ethereal immortal body, they can also promise all the high-level elixirs to restore him to the holy realm instantly. But destiny is such a shitty thing. Ha ha ha. Dear friends, see you next time. I'll take my 2 little friends to join the sect first. Ha ha ha. You two's laughter was left in Daoji Mountain. Afterwards, Lindsay and the others stepped into the void gate and left Daoji Mountain. The other 8 people could only shake their heads helplessly. What the hell is this? Forget it, let's look back and see if there are any other talented people in this class. After all, they have gathered elites from all over the world, which can be considered a psychological comfort. The 8 people also stepped into the void gate and disappeared. The wind stopped in the mountains. Daoji Mountain, the holy land of Qingyu left by the ancient Qingsheng, fell into silence without a trace of sound. Years pass. I don't know how much time passed. Only from the mysterious space at the bottom of the mountain came a chant from eternity. Descendants of Bawang. Well, ... An ancient sigh, the years are long. The time of Daoji Mountain has been frozen. Baikan Dynasty. Lin Shaoqui was tidying up Lu Hanyan's boudoir with a sigh. The young master has left. Miss, please leave quietly. ... Really, after so many days, it's worrying to say something no matter where you go. Shaoqui packed Lu Hanyan's clothes. All neat and tidy. Everything is there. There is no sign of traveling far away. ... Could it be that someone kidnapped him? No, with the current power of the Lin family, how can anyone in the entire Hidden Sword Mountain area dare to do evil? But where could she go? Shaoqui frowned, looking worried. At this time, both Lin Wu and Yi Shaoran arrived outside the door. Shaoqui immediately walked over and asked anxiously, "How are you doing? Is there any news about the lady?" The two shook their heads. Yi Shaoran said, "I searched the entire Shira villa, but couldn't find any trace. Miss Lu seems to have suddenly disappeared from the world. The same goes for the Lin family army. After investigating the surrounding areas of the Lin mansion, no suspicious person was found. For several days in a row. That's what their findings showed." This made several people look worried. Lu Hanyan disappeared. If the young master comes back, if the master wakes up, what should they explain? Several people were worried. Some unknown place. On the distant mountains, Lu Hanyan stood proudly in a light blue dress. At this time, her body no longer had the freshness and elegance of Ruikongu orchid in the past, and was replaced by infinite mystery. Wisps of red demonic fire lingered around her body. Behind her, several people covered in black robes knelt respectfully. "Leader, see the leader. It's my incompetence that has let the leader down." The bodies of several people wrapped in black robes were trembling slightly. Because according to the backup arrangements left by the leader, it is obviously not the time for the leader's true body to be revived. This time is several years ahead of schedule. Moreover, the leader of the church took the initiative to contact them that day and ask them to stop all activities within the church, which was not in line with the original plan. Obviously, they messed up. This ruined the leader's plan. The sin deserves death. Please forgive me, master. ... Lu Hanyan looked at the distant mountains, seemingly seeing the reality in a certain space through the illusion of the distant mountains. Her clear and cold voice sounded, "I don't blame you. This is a change from heaven. Qingyu's secret has been messed up." Several people seemed to understand. Of course, Lu Hanyan didn't expect them to understand. She just looked in one direction, where the Chang Sword Sect was. Variable, Chang Sword Sect, a place with beautiful mountains and rivers. A void gate appeared above Jianzong. You two arrived with Lindsay and the others. They landed firmly in front of a group of Chang Sword Sect elders who had been waiting for a long time. They learned all about the Daoji Mountain trial from the newly joined disciples. Knowing that this time there was an immortal in Daoji Mountain who appeared and won the first place. As the inheritor of the semi-saint, this leader is naturally in their Chang Sword Sect. So, they all gathered here, waiting to see the true appearance of the immortal body. The 9 immortal body of Dao Dao has always only heard its voice but never seen its shadow in the world. Now that a real immortal body has appeared, everyone is excited to see what the legendary immortal body looks like. Metropolitan, see the sect master. After meeting the sect leader, several people quickly turned their attention to Lindsay and the other two. 2 people. The sect master is so virtuous and capable that he even kidnapped another immortal body. Are these two the immortal deities? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.